shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix call center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
You know, we've been getting a lot of questions about it. You know, when's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? You know, the contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that, you know, it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
If you're afraid of school shootings, fine. Put him near the outer perimeter of the school. Put him in front of the school. Build a little guardhouse or something, stick him in it. But a cop to deal with discipline problems? It's turning a school into a prison. It's teaching kids how to be afraid of authority figures. It's teaching them, oh, yes, officer, no, officer. Oh, please don't beat the crap out of her. Oh, wow, look at him beat the crap out of her. This is so wrong.
You're always doing things for other people. Every once in a while, it's okay to do something for yourself. This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. This holiday season, treat yourself. After all, doing things for other people often requires a reliable vehicle. If you don't enjoy the task you're doing, at least enjoy your ride. Check out our great selection of new and used cars on our lot or online at whitneychev.com.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Just down the road to Whitney.
For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, good morning to you. It's Daybreak on a Monday morning. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner.
Good morning.
And we've got checks on sports, weather, and news from around the world here on AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Before I get to sports, morning, Carol, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
What's it look like outside?
34. I did have a foggy drive. I'm not sure if you had that same drive, but
you were right behind me the whole time.
Yeah, but we see different things.
I better
it's
have
very
had a
strange.
foggy drive, right?
I think maybe you always have a foggy drive.
It's Monday morning.
It's 34.
Russell Wilson threw 3 first-half touchdown passes to lead Team Irving to a 49-27 victory over Team Rice yesterday at the Pro Bowl. He also earned offensive MVP honors at Aloha Stadium. Wilson's Seattle teammate Michael Bennett was the defensive MVP after recording the game's only sack and deflecting a pass. Turns out later in the game, he became quarterback. They put him behind center, took a snap, and rushed for a little while. Moving to high school sports from Friday, the unbeaten in conference Lincoln Abes came to town looking to knock off Shelton High Climbers. It was also senior night at the Mini Dome, with 5 High Climbers playing their last home game. It was a back and forth first half, with Lincoln leading 26-21 at halftime. Both teams struggled offensively in the second half, leading to fast break opportunities. The Abes held on in the fourth quarter, taking down Shelton 46-37. Willie Thomas was the leading scorer for Lincoln with 12, and Kyle Kimball led all scorers for Shelton with 10. Be sure to check out our website later today, as Sports Director Sean Wells will have video highlights from the contest. On a game heard on Saturday here on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, Kyle Wilcher and Domantas Sabonis and Silas Melson each scored 15 points to help Gonzaga dominate both halves and beat the Dons of San Francisco 86-48. Gonzaga plays this Thursday versus Loyola Marymount at 6:40. Saturday, we have another Gonzaga game for you versus Pepperdine at 8:40. Sunday, Carol's the Super Bowl. Denver and Carolina. Our coverage starts at 11 in the morning, and the game will kick off right around 3:30. And tomorrow on iFIBER1NewsRadio.com, Shelton basketball live from the Mini Dome. Tip-off at 7. Another game online Thursday, also at 7. It's 6:11 now, and checking the weather, here's Carol.
Good morning. It's 34. It's going to be mostly cloudy today with some possible rain. Tomorrow the same, partly cloudy, turning into rain showers in the evening. The rest of the week looks cloudy with chances of rain. And right now it's 34.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
6:11 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. Lynn Lonkin coming on the air today at about 8:45 as we talk about the Mason County Economic Development Council. And a good morning to you, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Also, stories on the website that we'd like you to pay attention to are under the local tab here. The first story right out the gate this morning is commissioners have restructured 5 departments under one new head, and you can read the full story written by Jeff Chu here on the website, iFIBER1NewsRadio.com. Mason County Commissioners creating a new department in leadership position called Community Services Director. And this is a big, major reorganization. Marilyn Foster will have more news at 6:30. Lyndon is in the news this morning.
Yeah, the city council has voted or will vote to permanently ban marijuana. They have a temporary moratorium on them right now, and they're going to vote whether to make the ban permanent. But as far as I can tell that they are going to do it. They say their constituents, about 70% of them, say they want it banned in the city.
All right.
Yep.
We'll be back with more news right after this quick break on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Steve Weissman with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It's just a week until Super Bowl 50, and both teams have arrived in Northern California. Denver landing at San Jose International Airport just before 3 p.m. Sunday. And Panthers, a little more than an hour later. The Broncos plan to hold shorter practices this week at Stanford University to sharpen and reinforce what the team worked on while they were still in Colorado. Meantime, Carolina plans to stay in the San Jose area and practice at San Jose State. Nobody gets you closer to Super Bowl week than NFL Network. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Rich Eisen hosting Super Bowl opening night. Meantime, Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence underwent a procedure on his back Saturday for an injury that bothered him throughout the season. Head coach Jason Garrett did not set a definitive timetable on his recovery. Lawrence led the Cowboys this year with 8 sacks. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over.
Copy that, Control. Rockets powering up. Over.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over.
Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose.
Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket?
Please just press the button, Control. Over.
Copy that, QL1. 3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Good morning. 6:15 on a Monday, the first day of February as well. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
It's a Daybreak here. Lynn Longan, what now?
Oh, I was going to say first day of February.
First day of February.
Mhm.
Tomorrow's Groundhog's Day. Bing. We have got a great show for you. Lynn Longan coming up at 8:45 today. Throughout the rest of the week, we have more great guests. Tomorrow, Dan Griffey at 7:15, 35th District Representative. Carrie Lemon will be in at 7:45, and Don Miner talking about the Polar Bear Plunge at 8:15, and all coming up this week. And the Polar Bear Plunge is coming up this Saturday at the Alderbrook Resort and Spa in beautiful Union, Washington. Going to go from about 11 to 2, and it's for the 7th Annual Mason County Emergency Services Polar Bear Plunge. It's a fundraiser to help them, and we'll be out there jumping bright and early, 11 o'clock, and I know that a lot of the folks from the Sheriff's Department will be out there as well, including Teresa Eric and Casey Salisbury, the sheriff, and we'll see who else will pop there.
We'll see who pops in there.
Pop in the water for a good cause for sure. So that's coming up this weekend. Also, Sunday is the Super Bowl. And what's the weather look like for Saturday right now?
Right now, it looks like it's going to be, well, right about 11 o'clock when it starts. Not very, if there is rain, it'd be very, very little rain, and it'll be partly cloudy with some sun, about 47, about 11 o'clock.
That's perfect. Sign me up.
You are signed up.
I know I'm signed up, but sign me up, because that is a great forecast as compared to years past. Oh my goodness.
Well, it could change in the blink.
I don't want it to change.
All
Keep
right.
it just like that.
All right.
Some sad news for you coming our way on the regional tab of iFIBER1Newsradio.com. You remember the story of the two elephants that were part of a controversial move from Woodland Park Zoo to Oklahoma. One of them has died, apparently. Cairo TV reports that the Oklahoma City Zoo announced Saturday morning over Twitter that female elephant Chai was found dead in the elephant yard. Chai and Bamboo arrived at their new home in Oklahoma City last spring. An autopsy now is forthcoming. Was posted just this morning on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Over the weekend, Carol, I took Kaiser to BNI, and I know you've never been there to BNI, but it's world famous. It is the public marketplace. It was the home of Ivan the gorilla. And this guy, and we've got actually like kids' books that we've read to Kaiser about Ivan. So Ivan was this gorilla, and this guy had BNI in South Tacoma. And I remember as a kid going there, and you see Ivan behind the glass, smoking cigs and watching the soap operas. Well, they eventually moved him to Atlanta, and because people really got outraged, because he's like in an amusement store. So they moved him to Atlanta, and he did very well for himself. Well, if you go there, you see pictures of him out and about in Atlanta. So some of these stories do end positively, and some, like this elephant one, end negatively.
Yeah, that was a whole sad affair.
Yeah, sad story. 6:18 here at iFIBER1 News Radio. We have some more news under the environment tab, and pretty interesting is we like talking about technology and the future of things, and before too long, everyone is going to have one of those 3D printers in their house. We print everything they want, but today the science world is, I think, basically 3D printing coral reefs. And this is an amazing story, as they're able to put lab-bred corals back into the wild, and they work with the coral reefs that are there now.
Right. It looks like they're starting to grow. Before, they weren't able to produce this, but
they figured out some little added.
Yeah. 80% of all coral reef has disappeared.
Sure.
In the last 40 years. So that's some good news. We'll see what happens. It's a huge thing, the coral reef.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really, you don't think much about it, because the Great Barrier Reef near Australia, like, who's ever going there?
Right.
And but Paul Allen was just in the news, right, where his boat wrecked into these coral reefs. Maybe not these ones, but
not his boat, but his anchor allegedly dragged through the coral reef. There's some lawsuits happening, or appeals, or what have you, but it's not all confirmed.
I saw that over this weekend.
Yeah.
621 at iFIBER News Radio. Clam digs continue on this month as it has been opened up again. You can find that story under the Recreation tab at iFIBER ONE News Radio all month long. We've got some more razor clam digs at Long Beach. Razor clam diggers can look forward to more than another month of razor clam dig opportunities at Long Beach on the coast. Fish and Wildlife has approved digs, which runs from Thursday of this week through March 10th at Long Beach after marine toxic tests showed that the clams are safe to eat. So that's great news. And this Thursday, so you could be out there all weekend, as a matter of fact, Thursday through next Wednesday if you want. And we've got a 0.8 feet tide on Thursday, a 0.2 on Friday, and a negative 0.3 on Saturday. Those are all at Long Beach. In addition to fishing season, which is going underway, hunting season's getting started, I think.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, they do have a spring black bear hunt applications, and they're due at the end of this month. To be eligible for a permit, you have to purchase and submit an application to Department of Fish and Wildlife by the end of this month, and then a drawing will be held for 345 permits.
Oh, so it's not just you win a permit.
You have to win one. So 345 permits in Western Washington and just a little over 500 for Eastern Washington. And you'll receive notification if you win, and you have to have that special permit before you can go out and do that.
I think that's a big deal if hunters obviously if there's only 345 permits, because then you don't even know if you're going to go out in the right area.
Well, you can only go in the right area. There are special private timberland owners where you have access to or not access to.
But then I guess I meant not even know if you'll see one.
Right, you could go out there and you might not even see one.
If they're all weekend long and you don't get anything. 622 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Take a quick break.
Bears.
Lucky for the Bears. Missed it by that much. We'll be right back after this quick break on Daybreak. It's 6:23. Marilyn Foster's local news at 6:30. ABC Sports as well at the bottom of the hour.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Tarnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Your small business needs a loyalty rewards program, but email and paper cards are not effective, and using your POS system where you have to do all the work is bad as well. Go mobile. 95% of customers will check your marketing message on their smartphones in the first 5 minutes you send it, and we do all the work for you for under $150 a month. Call Puget Sound Perks today, 253-584-1212, or visit psperks.com. Reward your customers, and they'll reward you back.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, 6:26 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Jeff and Carol here on a Monday morning. It's the first day of February.
Ted Cruz is a total liar. I am so against Obamacare. I've been saying it for 2 years in my speeches. I'm going to repeal and replace Obamacare. I don't even know where he gets this.
That was ABC's This Week and Donald Trump on ABC This Week. Today's Iowa. People are going to be caucusing tonight in Iowa. And it's a real exciting time if you're a political wonk, a junkie, if you will. I remember in 2008 when I caucused here in the great state of Washington, and it was an interesting, eye-opening experience on how, I mean, it's not even really that deep in the weeds on how the sausage is made, but you still get a really good idea of the political process. And so people are going out tonight, and who knows what the results are going to be. Of course, it's neck and neck on the Democrat side with Hillary and Bernie, and with O'Malley playing the role of spoiler. And then on the Republican side, you've got Cruz and Trump there in the 1-2 jockeying for the lead, and maybe a sneak attack by Rubio in to get third. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But there's a lot of talk about the amount of Trump supporters, Carol, and then they kind of qualify that with, but a lot of them haven't voted before. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be cold outside. But caucusing is a real complicated issue. When you hear things like that, does that encourage you to be involved in the process or not? It's like they're almost. So if they're, so you said they're.
Well, it depends who you're talking about. If it encourages me to be in the process with somebody, then no, it does not encourage me. And actually, I'm pretty excited for that fact that nobody wants to get involved. If people would stay home. Yeah.
So if he's got some 300,000 folks that he thinks will maybe caucus, I'm talking Trump here.
Right.
But maybe only 150 show up. I saw one quote, "Oh man, I'm totally for candidate X, but I have an intramural college game that day, so I can't make it." It's just interesting to me because I remember in 2008, everybody was talking about Obama and this big sleeper, and you don't even know what's going to happen. And oh, he's got so many young supporters, but they don't ever really vote. Mm-hmm. Oh, but they don't really blah. And boy, he really showed them. And the punditry class was shocked when he got his numbers. Right. So why haven't they learned their lesson?
Well, because it's the old guard. They want to keep doing the same thing, the same way all the time, and they don't think that the future is changing, though it is right in front of them.
The kids are that engaged.
They want to hold on to how things have always been, and it's not that way anymore.
It's interesting at how much, for Trump especially, he's captured some sort of this lightning in a bottle there in Iowa and all the states that he goes and talks to. I read over the weekend probably 3 articles of people that were undecided. And it wasn't like, well, when I get there, I may vote for Jeb or I may vote for Trump. Now, these people were going into the caucus going, I may vote for Hillary or I may vote for Trump. I mean, the difference in the people.
Interesting.
It is so interesting. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks say, well, maybe there's a lot of folks that don't admit to being a particular candidate's favorite. But we'll see what happens tonight at Iowa. So I think it's going to take an hour or 2 hours to process, 5 or 6 our time.
So then people go in and vote.
Yeah.
And does anything really happen from this, or just that's where the money goes?
Well, so after tonight, they will caucus and they will have a plurality of, or a majority of certain folks will get blank number of delegates, and blank number of delegates will go to someone else.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Mason County Commissioners are creating a new departmental leadership position, Community Services Director. In a major reorganization of county management, the person the commissioners hire as Community Services Director would supervise the County Finance, Planning, and Permit Assistance Center. The new director would also oversee the environmental health and the community family health departments. Commissioner Chairwoman Terry Jeffries says the intent is to provide improved customer service within the county's public planning and health service sectors. The reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. The Community Services Director position could be filled by mid-April. Mason County Public Works representatives have scheduled a community meeting to get public comments about a proposed speed limit change on Pickering Road. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire Station on East Pickering Road from 5 to 7 p.m. A recent petition from area residents asked to increase the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour between State Route 3 and East Pine Tree Cove Road. Public Works Engineering and traffic personnel conducted a study of the road segment proposed for the change. For more information, you can contact Public Works at 360-427-9670. About 500 workers will lose their jobs following an announcement that a Bremerton call center is shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix call center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
We've been getting a lot of questions about it. When's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? The contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Here's a way for you to green up that heating bill of yours. That is, save energy and save greenbacks. Go to archmechanical.com, learn about heat pumps and zone heating. We're talking about heating and cooling equipment and systems designed to heat or cool your home. Listen, if you don't use all the rooms in your home, why heat or cool them? Check out archmechanical.com and learn more. And green up. Archmechanical.com.
It was All-Star Sunday for the NFL and NHL. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. But the NBA stars were in the Big Apple, putting a golden shine on the Knicks.
Curry, pass to Klay Thompson, catch and release and splash. Thompson with another three.
On KNBR, Klay Thompson finished with 34 points in the Warriors' 116-95 rout of the Knicks in New York. Draymond Green a triple-double. In Dallas, the Mavericks beat the Suns 91-78. Yahoo Sports reporting that after the game, general manager Ryan McDonough fired head coach Jeff Hornacek. The Suns have lost 10 of their last 11. They're 14-35 this season. The interim coach expected to be one of two assistants, either Corey Gaines or Earl Watson. In the Pro Bowl, as predicted, it was a toss-and-catch touchdown fest in Honolulu.
Russell Wilson throwing, back left corner of the end zone. Jumping up forward is Julio Jones. Gets both feet down and a touchdown.
On Westwood One, Russell Wilson threw 3 touchdowns as Team Urban rolled to a 49-27 victory over Team Rice. ESPN reporting that Lions receiver Calvin Johnson retiring at age 30 after 9 years in Detroit.
The Lions are hopeful that he'll change his mind. But again, he delivered that message to Jim Caldwell the day after the season that he's done with the NFL right now.
Schefter says too many injuries forced Megatron to pack it in. On ice, he's a journeyman bruiser, 6'8", not much of a scorer, who went from NHL team to the minor leagues to All-Star Most Valuable Player. There's a movie script in there somewhere.
And John Scott will get a standing ovation.
On NBC Sports, John Scott scored twice for Team Pacific. His name wasn't even on the MVP balloting, so the fans came through and voted him in with a Twitter vote. John Scott, MVP.
Doesn't get old hearing it, that's for sure. It still hasn't sunk in that I'm like the MVP of the game. It was Definitely whirlwind. Yeah, I'm enjoying every minute of it, though.
Team Pacific won the 4-team 3-on-3 tournament. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman signed a new contract that runs through 2022. To college basketball, all the top 25 teams were winners, including Iowa, Villanova, Maryland, and Michigan State. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000 set aside for an emergency fund, you wouldn't need an emergency credit card, right?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
And good Monday morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
We have got sports and weather in a moment. Quickly, though, what is the forecast for today?
It's 34 right now, and it's going to be cloudy.
All right. Unbeaten in conference Friday night, the Lincoln Abes came to town looking to knock off the Shelton High Climbers. Senior night at the Mini Dome, 5 of the High Climbers playing in their last home games. Back and forth first half, Lincoln leading 26-21. Both teams struggled offensively in the second half, leading to fast break opportunities. The Abes held on in the fourth, taking down Shelton 46-37. Willie Thomas, lead scorer for Lincoln, and Kyle Kimball led all scorers for Shelton with 10. The website today has sports director Sean Wells with some video highlights from the contest. Other sports notes from around the Northwest. Lily Thompson scored 24 of her career-high 30 points in the second half as number 16 Stanford overcame a poor start Sunday to defeat Washington State 69-52. UCLA built an early 20-point second half lead to cruise past Washington State in men's basketball, 83-50 rather. On a game heard Saturday here on iFIBER ONE News Radio, Kyle Wiltshire, Domantas Sabonis, and Silas Melson each scored 15 to help Gonzaga dominate both halves and beat San Francisco 86-48 on Saturday night. Gonzaga plays Thursday versus Loyola Marymount at 6:40. Have another Gonzaga for you on Saturday with Pepperdine as the opponent at 8:40. Sunday is the Super Bowl, Denver and Carolina. Our coverage starts at 11. Game will kick off around 3:30. Tomorrow on iFIBER1newsradio.com, Shelton basketball live from the Mini Dome. Tip off at 7. Another game is online Thursday, also at 7. This was a change. They changed the schedule for some of the later games here in high school basketball because if the girls win a couple more games here, the change became necessary because of the possibility of Shelton ending the regular season tied for the finals Narrows League berth to go on to the postseason. So that's why they changed the games from Wednesday, Friday to Tuesday, Thursday of this week. We still have them both for you on iFIBER1newsradio.com and both again right around 7. This Saturday night, the Old Town Artesians Indoor Soccer Club has a match at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College, taking on the Vancouver Victory, and first kick is at 6. 6:39 right now, and Carol has a look at the forecast.
Good morning. It's 34. It's mostly cloudy with some possible rain today. Tomorrow, the same, partly cloudy, turning into rain showers in the evening. The rest of the week looks cloudy with some chance of rain, and right now it's 34.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is 6:40 here at iFIBER ONE. We'll live the country life in a few moments. Also hear from the old farmer on the first day of February. But first, on iFIBER1newsradio.com, Community Services Director. That's a new leadership position, Carol.
A major reorganization of the county management. So we have that story on iFIBER ONE News Radio under the local channel, under the local tab. So the reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. And it includes 5 management positions with the Permit Assistance Center management position filled after this community services director is hired. So they still are looking to hire this new community services director.
Oh, interesting. That story again on iFiber1newsradio.com by Jeff Chu. And last week, we were getting ready to celebrate the 2nd year of operation for the North Mason and the Belfair Precinct Station. Sheriff Office Criminal Deputy Ryan Sperling and Deputy TJ Rankin were up there as well, talking about some of the statistics in crime in the north part of the county. That story is available also on iFiber1newsradio.com. With some changes here locally regarding pot laws, Linden is in the news this morning.
It is. I mean, the state puts down the laws, and then the cities and the counties, they can actually still do there's nothing in the law that prevents local governments from banning or otherwise regulating the marijuana businesses. So depending on what your citizens think, and the mayor in Linden says that 69% of his city residents oppose the law that legalized recreational pot in Washington. So they are going to vote. They haven't voted yet, but they do want to vote on banning all pot sales.
You know, one of the things about that was that that a lot of folks first said, well, we're not going to let this in because the state held back a lot of money. They didn't trickle it down into the municipalities. That has since changed.
Yes.
But not changed perhaps with enough benefit for the folks in Linden.
That's what they say. Other than I read somewhere, some cities are getting over $200,000, or that was just a smaller amount, but still, I think any bit helps, but maybe they don't think they need any extra business in their town. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Linden. I know you are, though.
Yeah, no, I've driven through Linden once when I went to Western. I remember a day we said, well, let's go to Linden just to see what it was like.
Right.
Yep, we sure did.
Did you have to dress up to go through?
No.
You're listening
Turn
to
the music off, though.
on iFiber One News Radio.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
Join Hood Canal Lions Club and iFiber One News Radio for the 7th annual Polar Bear Plunge. All proceeds go to Mason County emergency workers. The fun begins at 11 this Saturday at Alderbrook Resort on beautiful Hood Canal. Here's your chance to help support the emergency workers and volunteers of Mason County. And this year's proceeds will help the Mason County Search and Rescue Dive Unit. Don't miss the 7th annual Hood Canal Lions Polar Bear Plunge.
Bonsai trees are living works of art. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Growing bonsai takes daily attention, time, and patience, but you'll be rewarded by it for years to come as you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Morton Buildings, the best in the construction business since 1903. If you're ready for a new farm storage facility, insulated workshop, hobby garage, horse barn, or custom home, Morton will provide the building you'll be proud to call your own. Contact us today during Building Value Days. It's the biggest sales event of the year. Don't miss the opportunity to get the best building at the best price. Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Whenever you're online, Living the Country Life is there too. Like us on Facebook and exchange tips, ideas, and recipes with thousands of people who share your love for the country life. Follow us on Twitter at Small Farming for timely news and information. Find us on Pinterest so you can pick up your latest recipes, get inspired for country decorating, and much more. And while you're out enjoying the country, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Living the Country Life MAG and tag your photos under Love Country Lifestyle.
Bonsai plants are miniature trees grown in pots and considered a living art form. They can be any plant with a woody stem and tree-like structure. Dave Bogan owns a business called Bogan's Bonsai in Indiana. He says dwarfing the size of a tree involves what's growing both above and below the soil.
The training is not just only in the top or the shape of it, it's the training of the root system so it gets finer. Most people want to say it takes about 10 years to really create a proper bonsai, and that is getting a better root system as well as developing the top, and developing the top into a certain shape or look that we want, or the density of the shape.
Roots are trained by the soil they grow in, which is a special mix where the particles are about a 1/4 inch in size. This creates a lot of airspace within the soil, and over time, the root system will naturally become finer and finer. Creating the top shape of a bonsai plant requires pruning and wiring the branches.
Every branch on a tree will become wired so that we can move it and adjust its location. Depending on the species, after a couple of months or even a year, we remove the wire and the branches will stay in those locations. Some trees will be wired numerous times over a several-year period. It's very much so an ongoing training experience for the plant.
Bonsai require daily care, paying attention to the amount of water they need and controlling their growth to maintain the perfect shape. Bogan says they should also be kept outside because many species need a period of cold dormancy in order to survive. Learn more about bonsai gardening at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, KMAS.
Now, good morning to you. It is a Monday here, Daybreak at iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner, and a good morning to you.
Good morning.
Seriously, good news there on the friendly skies?
Well, they are saying airlines are going to restore tiny perks like pretzels to pacify flyers.
Is that all it takes?
I guess so.
Here, have a pretzel.
So when I flew down to Vegas.
When was this?
In October.
Okay.
And so they gave us little bags of cookies and you got a soda, I believe. So those were free.
Whoa.
Well, not a soda, but you got to, they pour you a little cup of whatever.
You always ask for the can. You always ask for the can.
I don't know if you could get it back then because, they're just changing their ways right now. So after 15 years of nearly not having anything, U.S. airlines are going to start restoring some perks for passengers crammed into coach.
Which airline? U.S. airline?
American Airlines, U.S.
Oh, U.S. in general.
Yeah, U.S.
United States
Airlines in general, yes. But American, this is mainly about American, and then United also. So United has announced some free return of the free snacks. That's starting in February. Delta Airlines has never removed snacks.
I think I did know that.
All right.
But not the snacks that I was used to as a kid, like
free hot meals.
Well, definitely hot meals.
Yeah, they used to serve you a full meal. I mean, I
remember, yeah.
And I always thought, you only have 2 hours, you're serving this full meal. I mean, it was just sort of crazy to me. And plus, airline food I didn't really care for. But for the longer flights, like you took a flight to Europe.
Right.
You must have had some kind of food, right?
Yeah, they offer snacks and drinks, but then you can pay for extra snacks.
So they did not give you a dinner?
I mean, no, I think we got a dinner. I think that was included, and maybe even a lunch and a dinner
because it was
it's
a long
8-hour flight.
Yeah.
At least we're flying down to San Diego next week, next Thursday. I'll be gone for a few days. We're going to San Diego for President's Day. And I remember when, they handed out playing cards.
Really?
I remember some great flights. There was this one flight that I took to Atlanta. It was like the first time I went to meet what would be my step family. And my dad and I were flying to Atlanta. And it was like delayed. We can maybe put you on another flight, delayed. And we didn't really need to get there, so we just waited. And so finally the plane showed up, and there was maybe 20 people on a 747. And these were the big, the 353 planes. Right. And they loaded you up with food. You could have had 100 meals. And they would have just kept feeding you. You could lay out on that 5. But I remember going back and asking for playing cards, and you'd get playing cards, stuff. So one company, I totally see how this happens. One company does this. I can see it from both sides of the power structure, right? So one company business CEO says, why are we giving out these things? Cost me so much. And so they cut it. And then the next CEO with the next one, they cut it. They go, whoa. They're saving some money here. Nobody's really complaining that much.
Right. And it sort of all started after 9/11, and then the recession hit. And so they just started, no hot meals, no leg room, no blankets.
More fees and more fees.
Exactly.
And more fees. And now it's switched. And I think that this is a microcosm for other things. We've been under this austerity for so long, this 15 years or so of it, that we're kind of going where the pendulum is swinging back the other way now.
Well, plus they started charging more for extra suitcases.
Sure, and so
a lot more.
Like, wait a second.
And then they crammed more seats in, so they're making record profits. And now they're like, oh, I guess we can give some perks back.
Have a pretzel.
Yeah.
I did see an airline charged by weight, so skinny passengers paid less than heavier passengers.
Really? What airline was that?
I think it may be a European airline. I don't think you can get away with that here.
Yeah, that's
discrimination a little bit.
Oh, I was thinking, like when we can talk about that later, about how much weight is in an airplane, whether it's actually going to make it or not.
Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
If you believe that good things come in small packages, this is your month. Our February preview today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Monday, February 1st, the 32nd day of the year. Lisa Marie Presley celebrates a birthday, and Frank Sinatra was recording his first session with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra on this day in 1940. By the way, he got the job. Our shortest month is not quite so short this year. It's a year divisible by 4, so one more day gets tacked onto February this year. Groundhogs, presidents, and romance all take the spotlight. But don't forget the other worthy observances. It's Black History Month, Wild Bird Feeding Month, and Potato Lovers Month. The flower of February is the violet, and if you were born in February, your birthstone is the amethyst. Wearing one is said to give you courage and prevent insomnia. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. You can always learn more about February online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Super Bowl week here, and the Super Bowl is Sunday. We've got it for you on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Our coverage is going to get underway at 11, and I think the game will kick off technically at 3:30, but probably not till 7. No, I don't know when it is going to be. Well, one of the things that people always do, and we're going to do this too this week, is keep an eye on some fun things that you can take to an upcoming Super Bowl party. And because the Seahawks are not in the game this year, if I go to one of these Super Bowl parties, I am much more likely to hover around the food table.
Because you're not watching the game.
Because I don't care about the game.
Right.
I mean, I'll walk towards the TV if someone yells or if the commercials are on. But for the game itself, I'll be back over by the food. And a lot of people overeat on the Super Bowl. And so it helps add to the waistlines of millions of Americans. And obesity is a big news epidemic. And science is so fantastic that there may be some new ways that we can turn off obesity. Is that right, Carol?
Well, scientists are trying to find stuff. So they think they have found or know how to find a molecular switch inside of us.
Yikes.
Like within our DNA. You have to imagine they are mostly testing on mice right now. But the mice closely resemble the humans for some reason when they are doing all these studies. But what they're really starting to find out, even more so, is that nurture versus nature is almost more important in what happens in your life. I mean, if you get fat or you don't get fat. And they did studies on identical twins, which should be identical, but one twin gets fat and one doesn't, yet they eat the same things. So why is that?
So are these twins that live together or twins that were separated at birth, or does it matter? I mean,
I don't think it matters.
Although if it's a nature thing, then it would not matter. But if it was a nurture thing, then if they were together, they would be similar, you would think, right?
Right. You would think, well, if it was nature, you would think they would be totally similar.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. They also think that maybe there is something in your genes, but what they figure is whatever is in your genes, somehow the genes have been turning on or off depending on what you do. So you could probably eat the same thing, but you go to a different school than your twin, or you have different friends than your twin.
And even that could be a factor.
That could be a factor.
Interesting.
Yeah,
what do you think
really
about science being able to, I mean, this is what they talk about, making those, not a test tube baby, but making a baby that you could turn off or turn on.
Right, and I actually have another story on that we can talk about later, that it's really controversial. Right, somewhere in Europe, they're going to start doing some, not studies, because they've already been studying it, but...
They're actually going to test this on people?
I think they're going to, I don't know about on people, maybe. But they're going to start going forward with some interesting stuff.
I mean, it all is very hard to nail down when it comes to the physiology of people, but I would imagine like eye color maybe would be one of the easier ones to change.
Eye color?
Hair color to test and see if they got the process right.
I don't know. We'll see what other information is out there. But once they did the whole DNA and genome.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks are in negative territory as traders grumble about sliding oil prices and weak economic data from China. The Dow's down 146 points, the Nasdaq lower by 40. Consumer spending was flat in December as Americans bought fewer cars, the unseasonably mild weather weakening demand for utilities, but savings jumped to a 3-year high. Shares of Aetna are up 1.5%. The health insurer beating forecasts on the top and bottom line, helped by a gain in membership numbers and margins in its Medicare business. But it's also forecasting full-year earnings below estimates. And after today's close, internet giant Alphabet and toy maker Mattel are set to report their quarterly earnings. Shares of Chipotle Mexican Grill are up after the Wall Street Journal reported an E. coli outbreak that affected some of its customers may be declared over today. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
There are times being a genius would really come in handy.
All right, since Jess and I only ordered 3 drinks and split the chicken, and you guys ate about 3/4 of the guac, but Tim only left us $15, not including tax and tip, I'm thinking Hal and Karen split 1/3 of the bill 2 ways, so you guys each take on 12%. Does that seem fair?
But thankfully, you don't need to be a genius to do your own taxes, because TurboTax's Explain Why feature helps you understand the math behind your refund. Intuit TurboTax. Taxes done smarter. Feature availability varies by...
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. The countdown to the caucuses is on as Iowans gather to discuss the presidential candidates. Hillary Clinton says she's feeling confident, but not overly confident.
This is a very tight race, really going down to the wire, but we feel very good. We've worked so hard. I've had a great operation here.
Bernie Sanders is cautiously optimistic, but says it all depends on voter turnout.
I think we will win if there's a large voter turnout. If a lot of non-traditional voters, younger people, working class people, lower income people who often do not participate in the political process, if they come out in big numbers, we'll win. If they don't, we won't.
Donald Trump says he's nervous, but he's used to being on the winning ticket.
My life has been a life of success. It's been a life of winning. It's been a life of making great deals. It's been a life of, I've achieved tremendous success in so many different ways.
And Ted Cruz says he's thrilled to be among the frontrunners.
If you had told me 10 months ago when we launched this campaign that we would be the day before the Iowa caucuses in a statistical tie for first place, I would have been thrilled and exhilarated, and that's exactly where we are.
Some of the first results should start coming in tonight. Caucuses themselves can last for 2 hours. Americans channeled their inner Scrooges in December. The Commerce Department says consumer spending was flat, and people were saving instead of spending. In fact, the savings rate swelled to 5.5%, the highest in 3 years. What caused the deadly wreck in Philadelphia last year when an Amtrak train traveling too fast rounded a corner and jumped the rails? Federal safety investigators today released their conclusions about the cause and recommendations for prevention in Washington. Love Story co-stars Ryan O'Neal and Ally McGraw are together again. They're returning to the scene of the movie, Harvard, to reflect on their careers in a moderated discussion. They're also co-starring in a national tour of a show called Love Letters. The two will be driving to the events in a red MG, just like the one their characters drove. This is ABC News.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car guy a car guy. It's the commitment to maintain an engine through the 300,000-mile mark. It's burning the midnight oil to finish a job most guys would rather hand off. It's loyalty, and it's why there's speed perks from Advance Auto Parts. Spend $100 and get $20 off your next qualified purchase. No cards, no points, no nonsense. Advance Auto Parts, for guys who love getting under the hood.
See store to sign up or visit speedperks.com for details.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
That is fast, like rocket fast.
It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
In response to a wave of Palestinian attacks on Israelis, Israel has adopted strict military measures. More from ABC's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem.
It's been more than 10 years since we've seen a partial closure of Ramallah by the Israeli army. It's the largest Palestinian city in the West Bank, now surrounded by military roadblocks. Cars are being checked, and only residents, Israeli Arabs, and humanitarian cases are being allowed to enter or leave the city. Israeli Army spokesman Peter Lerner told ABC News the step was taken to prevent attacks from Ramallah just a day after a Palestinian Authority police officer opened fire in the area, injuring 3 Israelis. Palestinian leaders have denounced the partial closure, calling it collective punishment. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Why would someone pay $82,000 for a Fiat 500L? Probably because Pope Francis rode around in it when he visited Philadelphia last year for the World Meeting of Families. It was bought at auction by a Philadelphia auto dealer. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Mason County Commissioners are creating a new departmental leadership position, Community Services Director. In a major reorganization of county management, the person the commissioners hire as Community Services Director would supervise the County Finance, Planning, and Permit Assistance Center. The new director would also oversee the Environmental Health and the Community Family Health Departments. Commissioner Chairwoman Terry Jeffries says the intent is to provide improved customer service within the county's public planning and health service sectors. The reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. The Community Services Director position could be filled by mid-April. Mason County Public Works representatives have scheduled a community meeting to get public comments about a proposed speed limit change on Pickering Road. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire Station on East Pickering Road from 5 to 7 p.m. A recent petition from area residents asked to increase the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour between State Route 3 and East Pine Tree Cove Road. Public Works Engineering and traffic personnel conducted a study of the road segment proposed for the change. For more information, you can contact Public Works at 360-427-9670. About 500 workers will lose their jobs following an announcement that a Bremerton call center is shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix Call Center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City Engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
We've been getting a lot of questions about it. When's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? The contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
If you could wave a wand and change one thing about your house, what would it be?
Hold that thought, but forget the wand. Home improvement isn't magic.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, we can show you the tricks of the trade for remodeling and repair.
And how to not get fooled when you're choosing and directing a contractor. Hi, I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Phone in your fix-up questions here this weekend.
On the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730. Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
Checking out some news notes from the sporting world now, and we'll also have a detailed forecast in a second, but currently we're out there driving around at what?
About 35.
Foggy this morning on our way in.
Yes, it was.
Russell Wilson threw 3 first-half touchdown passes to lead Team Irving to a 49-27 victory. I mean, I guess in the literal sense, it was a victory. Team Rice over... What a mess. I watched that like 10 minutes of that game yesterday. I mean, you watch it, and I get why it's not like regular football. Because it's an exhibition game, and people don't want to get hurt for next season. I mean, imagine being on an exhibition game and you tear something. Oh, it'd be terrible. But they'll throw the ball, and it's like touch football.
they kind of just go, oh, everybody's just excited to be in Hawaii.
Right.
They don't really even.
They should have just played in shorts.
They should have played in shorts.
And just had tag football, or you know.
I am a bigger fan of the skills challenges on these things, where like you throw the football through a tire 50 yards down.
Do they do that on that?
I didn't see that.
Oh, well, see, that would be a great idea. Start a lobby for that.
They may do something. Anyways, Wilson, Russell was MVP there. Michael Bennett, defensive MVP, got a sack, deflected a pass, and here's how crazy it is. Michael Bennett, defense guy, he ends up taking some snaps at quarterback.
Why not, though? Hidden talents.
I guess. I mean, it is for fun, but...
Yeah, but what an opportunity.
Sure, it is an opportunity.
Boy, you are disappointed.
It was just not a... I mean, at least with baseball, the All-Star game is in the middle of the season, and if the American League wins, the American League gets home field advantage for the World Series. It means something. And there's just not a lot of meaning, I think, behind the Pro Bowl.
It's for fun and to just relax and have a good time.
I guess.
For all the losers.
All the losers out there, including Russell Wilson and Michael Bennett.
Yeah.
Friday night, the unbeaten Lincoln Abes came to town looking to knock off the Shelton High Climbers. It was senior night at the Mini Dome with 5 High Climbers playing in their last home game. Saw my old freshman English teacher there, Mr. Vernon. I think his brother or somebody was getting an award.
You knew Mr. Vernon?
Did you have Mr. Vernon at Flatwater?
Yeah. Who didn't?
Exactly. Back and forth the first half, Lincoln leading 26-21 at the half. Both teams struggled offensively in the second half, leading to fast break opportunities. Abes held on in the fourth quarter, taking down Shelton 46-37. Congrats to Kyle Kimball, leading all scorers for Shelton. And we'll have video highlights later this afternoon from sports director Sean Wells. 7-11 now. We do have the Super Bowl this weekend. Coverage starts at 11. Game kicks off around 3:30. Here's Carol now with sports, or weather, whatever she's doing.
Sporty weather. It's 36, mostly cloudy with some possible rain later today. Tomorrow the same, partly cloudy, turning into rain showers in the evening. The rest of the week looks cloudy with some chances of rain. Right now it's 36.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:12 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio and iFIBER1newsradio.com. We encourage you to check out our website often and throughout the day because we've got new stories forthcoming all the time. And the latest one came our way from new reporter Jeff Chu as the county commissioners looked to restructure 5 departments under one new head. And you can find that full story on the website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. Also, may have seen it over the Facebook this weekend. We encourage and thank you for getting involved in these stories. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Good high rates on the chopping block. We're cooking up a deal at our community credit union with 1% cash back and no payments for 90 days. If you have an auto, boat, RV, personal, or any other type of consumer loan, feast on this. For a limited time, we'll treat you to 1% cash back instantly when you move your loan to our community credit union. Don't wait. Apply online at ourcu.com or visit a branch location, Shelton, Union, McClary, Elma, Montesano, or Vashon.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
A chance to meet the legendary football coach Don James. A delicious meal. Green fees to an award.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio at 7:15. Just like you, Carol Gardner. On a Monday, the first day of February. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
January went fast.
It seemed like it started out slow and then it just couldn't be stopped.
It's like a snowball, kind of.
Yeah.
Very interesting. We are in the 1st of February tomorrow. Later today, in about an hour and a half, Lynn Longin from the Economic Development Council will be in, as well as Dan Griffey tomorrow. 24 hours from right now, 35th District Representative Dan Griffey will be in. Carrie Lemon will be here as well from United Way, 7:45. And Don Miner in talking about the Polar Bear Plunge tomorrow at 8:15. Looking at iFiber1newsradio.com, the regional stories have news notes for you, this time coming to us via Linden. Carol.
Yeah, the city council is going to vote on possibly permanently banning marijuana in the city. They just decided, or they say that 69% of their residents oppose the law that legalizes recreational pot.
So they already have a temporary moratorium looking to make the ban permanent. Is the moratorium, I understand moratoriums end, but instead of making this a permanent thing that could not maybe be looked at later down the road, can't they just extend the moratorium for a while?
They could keep extending it, yeah.
But maybe by permanently banning it, it sends a different message?
Yeah, I would say it sends a different message, but, it can be changed again, I'm imagining, can't it? Yes. But maybe they just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not sure.
People keep asking, when are you going to change that moratorium? When are you going to drop that moratorium?
But maybe it does send a message, and then people will start asking about it. But I think that eventually everybody will change. I mean, it's
just like booze.
Yeah. Or
bars are everywhere. I mean, if you stop and think about it, they're all over the place.
There are more bars than churches.
Isn't that something?
It is.
Legal dispute over who is financially responsible for the Skagit River Bridge collapse remains ongoing. And this has been 3 years since this happened. I don't know. You remember this? Back in December. May of 2013 is when a truck going over the I-5 at Mount Vernon there's it was going over the river, and he clipped something.
Yeah, the Skagit River Bridge.
And the whole thing came down. And even some cars, I think, got into the water.
Yeah, there was 3 cars. And my sister, who lives up in that area, they had just gone over the bridge 10 minutes.
Before that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
crazy.
That's 3 stoplights.
Yeah, it's sort of crazy. So the state says the collapse was the trucking company. The trucking company says the collapse was because the state has failed to properly maintain the bridge. So
that ongoing. Also, we heard about some stories as Jay Inslee visited Western State Hospital. Nick Scott had some of that news last week on iFIBER ONE. Washington State Department of Social and Health Services says the town of Stillicum has overcharged millions of dollars to provide sewer service to Western State Hospital. And Western State has filed a lawsuit. The Trib reports that AG's office filed the lawsuit on January 20 in Pierce County Superior Court. And they say for more than 2 decades, Stillicum has overcharged for Western State Hospital's use of the sewer system. See how that story fades out.
And there was another story we had heard about the zoo elephants from Seattle that were going to be transferred over to Oklahoma City Zoo. And there was a big, huge thing about it wasn't a good idea, but they said, yes, it'll be fine. Well, it turns out that one of the elephants did die in Oklahoma. Unfortunately, it was Chai. So they are going to perform an autopsy to see what was the cause of her death. But, I don't know. That's a sad story.
7:19 here at iFIBER One News Radio. Last night on Fox was that Grease live thing we talked about on Friday.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, my mom was going to watch it, and she recorded it. So, but I hadn't seen any highlights of it.
I watched
and
almost from the beginning to the first song. Well, I'll tell you about it. I have some clips for you right after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Take control of your money. Start by listening to The Dave Ramsey Show.
See, as long as something is specific and measurable and you give it a time limit, immediately sixth grade math kicks in and you can do the division, long division. Say, I want to make $100,000 this year. Great. How much is that a month? $8,300. Do you sell for a living? If you're on commission, you can divide that out, know exactly what you need to sell in order to make your $2,100 a week, which is $100,000 a year. You need to divide out what it takes to get where you want to go.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:21 here at Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Good morning to you. Fox aired its 3-hour Grease live musical last night. Juliana Huff was Sandy and Aaron Teviot was Danny. And here they are with Summer Nights from last night. I mean, I guess they were really singing during the show. I guess I'm just so jaded, I can't tell anymore if the people are really singing or they're lip syncing. It was a live musical production. And I remember, and I was just telling Carol this off the air, when they show live TV shows on TV, it just looks different. And I can't separate that from the story. There's just something in the processing or the lighting. There was a show in the 90s called Rock on Fox, and he was like a garbage man or something. It was a really good show, and then they decided later in the seasons to do it live. And if you looked at the pre-live versus the live versions, it just looked different. There's not post-production, I guess, or they can't adjust the lighting specifically to the scene because they have to worry about the whole production. There was just something off about it.
Well, I mean, it's like daytime soap operas have a totally different look than nighttime shows. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Because usually they're done with live audiences, aren't they? Daytime soaps, or even like any talk show is done with a live audience. There are some nighttime shows, but the lighting is different, definitely. But it's more... So we were sort of talking about if you go to a play, it's live, or if you go to your rock concert, obviously it's live, and it's really different than hearing the studio version.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sometimes disappointing. So it's the experience really that you're going for to a play. So, but you can't really get that same experience watching TV live. Maybe that's what's missing for you, is you're expecting something and you just can't get that same feeling.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, you have expectations, obviously. I mean, we all do. Or you would just take it as it is.
I mean, it was cool to see the stage direction and the sets move and open up, and they had to do commercial breaks because it was a real show on TV. And so Mario Lopez, AC would come in and he would say, "Hey, oh, hey, this is awesome, and we'll be right back after this," and they'll reset the scenes. And Julianne Hough looked just like Sandy. The other guy was not as John Travolta-ish. So Friday, the question was, would Stephanie, would it have ruined her Grease experience because she'd never seen a different version other than the movie? And I can tell you that last night when I was watching this, her memories are safe. It was in no way similar to what she remembered. And she's like, if I don't watch, it's not that bad because it sounds the same. But that was Grease live. And anyway, so Vanessa Hudgens' dad died over the weekend. And so the last night, they dedicated the show to him. Didi Conn and Barry Pearl, Frenchie and Dodie from the original they were in, they stopped by, and the sound did drop. So there was the rain. El Nino was happening. So their outside scenes were all wet, and that's what's kind of fun with that. And the sound dropped out during the dance contest scene, and Mario screwed up because he said American Bandstand rather than National Bandstand, but of course you're going to mess that one up, wouldn't you?
But I haven't heard like what everybody else has said.
No.
I haven't heard any of that. And I didn't watch it myself, so I can't really say anything. So I'll have to watch some clips of it and see.
But I did notice the rain for sure. 7:25 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. Daybreak here. Jeff and Carol, we continue to encourage you to stop by our Facebook page on facebook.com/1030KMAS. Our legal identification with the FCC is KMAS, and we are on there with stories about not only the Shelton High Climbers basketball and some wrestling, but there's a little video of that slide this past Friday on State Route 106 that has since been cleared and cleaned, but it is treacherous nonetheless to look at. And then that story reached a lot of people over the weekend regarding the Mason County commissioners who are seeking a new departmental leadership position. Check out all those stories on iFiber1newsradio.com and on our Facebook page. Carol, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we got the latest in local news from Mary Lynn Foster coming up next on Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 103.3.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. He's got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throwdown dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One, 728. With Mary Lynn Foster coming up at 7:30. ABC Sports as well, talking about some of the highlights from the Pro Bowl. Russell Wilson getting offensive MVP. Michael Bennett getting the defensive MVP. And
horrible game.
Fun little touch football contest last night in beautiful Hawaii.
I know. Well, wouldn't you want to go and just have fun?
Marcus Mariota was there, the old QB from the Ducks. He's a Honolulu native, and so he went out there during the halftime and brought out his high school of footballers and some 5,000 kids. They didn't even pack all this. It's a beautiful stadium. I don't know what they use it for. Maybe University of Hawaii. But it is a very nice looking stadium down there for no real one football game a year.
Well, maybe they use it for concerts or just soccer.
Yeah, maybe. The other thing I heard was that they were put in. We're not going to have full time to talk about this, but I heard some rumblings on Friday about the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I heard a little bit about it, but not that much.
You lived in Vegas for a long time.
I did.
What's the deal with pro sports teams down there? I mean, obviously it looks bad because you can gamble right across the street.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some undue influence, but somebody made a good point is if you have a smartphone, you can gamble anywhere in the world.
Well, that's true. You certainly can.
Would that be a good thing to see a Las Vegas pro football team?
I don't see why not. I'm sure they would always have people going to see it.
So would the hotels just comp all the tickets? Or because one of the comments made on the show I saw was that the service industry is the bulk of the Las Vegas community, and the ability for them to pay for tickets could not be there in the service industry, like bussers and things like that.
I don't know. That's a good question.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One Newsradio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Mason County Commissioners are creating a new departmental leadership position, Community Services Director. In a major reorganization of county management, the person the commissioners hire as Community Services Director would supervise the County Finance, Planning, and Permit Assistance Center. The new director would also oversee the environmental health and the community family health departments. Commissioner Chairwoman Terry Jeffries says the intent is to provide improved customer service within the county's public planning and health service sectors. The reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. The Community Services Director position could be filled by mid-April. Mason County Public Works representatives have scheduled a community meeting to get public comments about a proposed speed limit change on Pickering Road. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire Station on East Pickering Road from 5 to 7 p.m. A recent petition from area residents asked to increase the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour between State Route 3 and East Pine Tree Cove Road. Public Works Engineering and traffic personnel conducted a study of the road segment proposed for the change. For more information, you can contact Public Works at 360-427-9670. About 500 workers will lose their jobs following an announcement that a Bremerton call center is shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix Call Center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City Engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
We've been getting a lot of questions about it. When's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? The contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton. Best deals, best price, best trade, and low payments. And when you think Ford and think selection, think family-owned Gillis Auto Center. With the year-end clearance event going on right now, the 2015s are drastically reduced and have to go. Before you purchase a new car or truck anywhere else, do yourself a solid and check with Gillis Auto Center first for the best savings. We'll meet or beat any deal. See Gillis for details. Gillis Auto Center at the City Center Matlock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
But they run this hoax. It's the law. No, there is no law. And they all engage in this big conspiracy because they think it's the right thing to do. And then once it starts killing people, they can never admit, oh my gosh, this is a eugenics program. This is a mass public testing program. No. There's no admissions of that. It's just make fun of anybody that talks about it and say that we're going to make everybody sick. That's all over the news now. You're going to make me sick. You take a vaccine.
It was All-Star Sunday for the NFL and NHL. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. But the NBA stars were in the Big Apple, putting a golden shine on the Knicks.
Curry, pass to Klay Thompson, catch and release and splash. Thompson with another three.
On KNBR, Klay Thompson finished with 34 points in the Warriors' 116-95 rout of the Knicks in New York. Draymond Green a triple-double. In Dallas, the Mavericks beat the Suns 91-78. Yahoo Sports reporting that after the game, general manager Ryan McDonough fired head coach Jeff Hornacek. The Suns have lost 10 of their last 11. They're 14-35 this season. The interim coach expected to be one of two assistants, either Corey Gaines or Earl Watson. In the Pro Bowl, as predicted, it was a toss-and-catch touchdown fest in Honolulu.
Russell Wilson throwing, back left corner of the end zone. Jumping up forward is Julio Jones. Gets both feet down and a touchdown.
On Westwood One, Russell Wilson threw 3 touchdowns as Team Urban rolled to a 49-27 victory over Team Rice. ESPN reporting that Lions receiver Calvin Johnson retiring at age 30 after 9 years in Detroit.
The Lions are hopeful that he'll change his mind. But again, he delivered that message to Jim Caldwell the day after the season that he's done with the NFL right now.
Schefter says too many injuries forced Megatron to pack it in. On ice, he's a journeyman bruiser, 6'8", not much of a scorer, who went from NHL team to the minor leagues to all-star most valuable player. There's a movie script in there somewhere.
And John Scott will get a standing ovation.
On NBC Sports, John Scott scored twice for Team Pacific. His name wasn't even on the MVP balloting, so the fans came through and voted him in with a Twitter vote. John Scott, MVP.
Doesn't get old hearing it, that's for sure. It still hasn't sunk in that I'm like the MVP of the game. It was definitely a whirlwind. Yeah, I'm enjoying every minute of it, though.
Team Pacific won the 4-team 3-on-3 tournament. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman signed a new contract that runs through 2022. To college basketball, all the top 25 teams were winners, including Iowa, Villanova, Maryland, and Michigan State. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Jeff Slakey, and it's Daybreak. AM 1030, FM 103.3, 737. Carol Gardner has a check on the weather forecast, a detailed one in a few moments, but kind of foggy right now. So
kind of foggy, yeah.
35 or so.
35 or 6, yeah.
All right, good morning to you. Just heard a little bit more about the Pro Bowl, and moving on from that, Friday night, the unbeaten in conference Lincoln Abes came to town looking to knock off the Shelton High Climbers senior night at the Mini Dome. First 5 High Climbers playing in their last home game. It was a back-and-forth first half with Lincoln leading 26-21 at the half. Both teams struggled offensively in the second half, leading to fast break opportunities. The Abes held on in the fourth quarter, taking down Shelton 46-37. Kyle Kimball led all scorers for Shelton with 10. Checking out the website later today for video highlights from the contest by sports director Sean Wells. He should have those on there in a few hours from now. On a game heard Saturday on iFIBER One News Radio, Kyle Wilter, Jamontis Sabonis, and Silas Melson each scored 15 to help Gonzaga dominate and beat San Francisco 86-48. Gonzaga plays Thursday versus Loyola Marymount at 6:40. Sunday is the Super Bowl. Denver and Carolina. Coverage starts at 11, and the game kicks off around 3:30. And tomorrow on iFIBER1newsradio.com, Shelton basketball live from the Mini Dome. Tip off at 7. The other game online Thursday, also at 7. Now, this is a change because we had initially anticipated the last couple games for the Shelton girls to be played on Wednesday and Friday of this week. But they have been moved to Tuesday, Thursday, because of the possibility of Shelton ending the regular season tied for the final Narrows League berth to the postseason. So we'll have all that information for you when the girls play, and that first game this week coming up tomorrow. 7:39. Here's Carol with a check of the weather.
Good morning. It's 35. Foggy this morning for your morning drive. It's going to be mostly cloudy with some sun peeking out today. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, sunshine. Wednesday, it looks like cloudy and mostly rain. And right now, it's 35.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One News Radio, 739, and Lynn Longan coming up in about an hour from Mason County's Economic Development Council. ChooseMason.com is a great website to learn a little bit more about the Economic Development Council here around the community. It is election day in Iowa. The Iowa caucuses are getting underway, and ABC News is covering them heavy duty, as you can imagine. And all the candidates, even some of the lower candidates, in the Republican side who aren't expecting top three finishes, are still looking to have some sort of momentum moving out of Iowa and into New Hampshire, then finally South Carolina for the first three big votes. Tom Lamas is out and about, and Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are polling in a statistical tie ahead of tonight's caucuses. But ABC's Tom Lamas has more from Iowa on the Republican side of the race.
The last Des Moines Register poll that came out over the weekend had Donald Trump winning the Iowa caucuses. Historically, that's the best indicator of what will happen in this state. I spoke with Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley yesterday. I asked him if he had a prediction. He said usually the Des Moines Register poll is right, but he did not want to commit to the idea yet that Donald Trump will definitely win Iowa.
741. Thank you to Tom Lamas on that one in Iowa. Interesting, as the voters will be gathering tonight in gyms all across Iowa, and there's they have 99 counties.
And how late do they get to vote?
It's a 2-hour process. I think basically what happens is, and I'm trying to think back 8 years when I did the process for caucusing here in Washington, and if it's any sort of similarity, you kind of walk into a gym and you look kind of glassy-eyed because you're not really sure what's going on, but you see people that have signs representing the candidates that you may lean more towards. So then you go over there and you talk with them about where you live and what street you're on, so you're in the right spot. And then everybody kind of, it's cool in the caucusing because you have to actually have a position.
So so when you go to the caucus, is it Republican and Democratic in the same spot, or do you go to a certain?
I don't think it,
or are they separate?
The same spot. It may have been at the same school in two different like gyms or something. But yeah, because there was that story about the lady in Iowa who is going to walk in tonight and decide if it's Trump or Hillary.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's really up in the air. Pretty interesting. 742, we'll be back. Tell you about some of the stories on the website at iFIBER1newsradio.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area, it's over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network. From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. 7:45 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Jeff and Carol on a Monday morning, first day of February. Hi.
Good morning. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just another notch on the calendar.
Yeah, well, February has a lot of stuff in it.
Like what?
Groundhog's Day.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Gotta get my music right. Bing.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Don't forget that, Jeff Slakey.
Yikes. Sunday this
President's Day.
Okay.
And leap year day.
Yeah, it is the 29th of February. Black History Month as well.
And Black History Month, yes.
Interesting. It's a busy February.
It
I
is
like
a busy
it. Tomorrow,
February.
Groundhog's Day, so we'll talk about one of the best movies ever made.
We better make it really good. Otherwise, in case we get stuck in the same day forever.
To do it again the next day. Checking out the politics page on iFiber1newsradio.com. You see on the side there the local representatives that make time with us on Daybreak, and included in that is 35th District Representative Dan Griffey. And Dan's been on the show a couple weeks now, as the session is now moving into its third week. And we heard him first talk about his meeting with Casey Kasem's daughter, Carrie Kasem, and a story coming out of Seebeck, which is part of his district in the 35th. Well, now added to this is another celebrity's child in the story. Here's the story on the politics page of iFiber1newsradio.com. The daughters of two late celebrities now pushing separate legislation in the state, seeking easier ways for family and friends to visit ailing elders in honor of their fathers' end-of-life struggles. So we know the Carrie Kasem, Casey Kasem, Catherine Falk story that was notably in the news last year. Another story that I wasn't familiar with was the story of Peter Falk, Columbo.
Yeah.
Again, due to personal disagreements, keeping him from his family. Parts of his family keeping him from other parts of his family. They're pushing for legislation in a variety of states that would help others see their elders without a court fight for guardianship rights.
Right.
And the consultant for Washington Association of Professional Guardians says the state's current law is strong and lawmakers shouldn't make things overly complicated.
Not sure if that's for or against.
It sounds like it's more for the guardians on that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you can go at it both ways. I mean, if you're the one that's being, unable to see, then you're like, well, the laws are wrong. But if you're the one that can see and you don't want others to see for whatever reason, then you're like, well, the laws are good. So that is a really hard one with families. And we have so many different types of families these days.
Oh, yeah.
Who can see what, and the new person comes in, and then the person might get older and get dementia and doesn't realize what's going on.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, I think if it's your family, even your friend, I think you should be able to see these people.
Well,
it's sad when you are barred.
Yeah, when there's these kind of barriers up. We'll talk with Dan Griffey, 35th District Representative, tomorrow about what the Washington Association of Professional Guardians says about the current law and things like that. Today, Monday, the in-person voter registration deadline for people who want to vote in an upcoming February 9th special election. Got until 4:30 to register in person to vote. You can find where you can register to vote looking up Mason County auditor's office is where you can head there. The deadline to register to vote in the August 2 primary is the 4th of July in the mail, or the 25th of July in person. You got to get in for that August 2nd primary. I would imagine most things will be shaken out by then. We'll know who the mains are in the election, but still an important part of the process to vote in the primary election. 7:48 here at iFiber One and iFiber1newsradio.com. It is the first day of February, and recreation is upon us as the weather. The day, the days are getting longer already.
Right.
It's like 5:15, 5:30, and it's still kind of light out.
I know, it's nice. I am really liking it.
So before we get to Carol's got a really interesting environmental story. I just want to mention that there's month-long razor clam digs have been extended, and they start Thursday. Long Beach, and it's a 0.8 tide on February 4th at that time. Speaking of, though, the water, scientists are doing some cool stuff with coral reefs and coral research.
Yeah, about 80% of the coral reefs have been disappeared in the Caribbean. So they have been raised, have some coral raised in a lab, and it's successfully integrated into the wild population. It's weird to think, when you see the coral, that it is actually alive.
Sure.
I mean, that's the first thing that people obviously didn't realize, a long time ago when they started taking bits and pieces of it. And then just due to the climate or the water temperatures, I believe the coral has been sort of changing. But so they figured out how to grow it in a lab, and they put it out in the wild, and it's taking a hold, which is great.
Yeah, and we need it, especially after things like the MV Tatoosh.
Yes. What's that, Jeff?
Well, it's one of the world's largest yachts, and it's owned by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen, who destroyed 14,000 square feet of reef in the Cayman Islands. The anchor chain of his 300-foot luxury boat, the MV Tatoosh, damaged more than 80% of the coral in about a quarter acre of protected territory earlier last month. And the damage occurred near an area popular with scuba divers. Allen was not on board at the time, but winds reportedly shifted and pushed the boat into the reef. The crew left the area when the damage was discovered.
Hit and run.
And the irony of this mishap is that Allen is a conservationist who works to save endangered species and improve ocean health, according to his corporate biography.
Well, I'm guessing that research is going to get a bump in research.
I would say so. $19.2 billion is where Forbes sits him at, the 26th richest man in the world. Take a quick break here at iFiber One, and when we come back, we'll hear from the Old Farmer's Almanac next. And after that, Carol's looking at some other scientific stories for us. Genetics.
We all got it.
We got it.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
If you believe that good things come in small packages, this is your month. Our February preview today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Monday, February 1st, the 32nd day of the year. Lisa Marie Presley celebrates a birthday, and Frank Sinatra was recording his first session with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra on this day in 1940. By the way, he got the job. Our shortest month is not quite so short this year. It's a year divisible by 4, so one more day gets tacked onto February this year. Groundhogs, presidents, and romance all take the spotlight. But don't forget the other worthy observances. It's Black History Month, Wild Bird Feeding Month, and Potato Lovers Month. The flower of February is the violet, and if you were born in February, your birthstone is the amethyst. Wearing one is said to give you courage and prevent insomnia. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. You can always learn more about February online at almanac.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio, KMAS.
7:53 here at iFiber One News Radio. It's a Daybreak. ABC News coming up at 8. Got 7 minutes to get there if you need to be somewhere by 8 o'clock.
sunrise is during that time also. Or it actually probably
Isn't it right now?
has risen.
7:38 this
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
We jumped way early. 'cause
We
it's a new
did
month.
jump way early. If there is sun out there somewhere, you might be able to see it.
Still very foggy if I look out the windows.
All right.
All right. Good morning to you. We do have the news coming up at 8 o'clock, and Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news as well. Just after that, 8:04. Last hour, we started to talk about some interesting science notes on geneticists looking at your DNA and your genes, and they did the human genome.
Mm-hmm.
They mapped the genome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was under Clinton back in the late 90s.
I don't think it was that far back.
Okay, so then Bush and the
No, I
Bush
think
and
it was
Hobbs?
Obama.
Really?
Yeah.
We got the genome?
Maybe Obama did the DNA. I don't know. So,
Regardless.
a lot of stuff has been happening
Very fast.
Very fast.
And so people are able to now, they're close to being able to turn off and on different little aspects, and they think they have found the obesity. So is that the obesity gene? Is that what you hear? Like the bald gene, the obesity gene, the blue-eye gene?
There's probably more factors than a regular on-off switch, is what I'm guessing. What they're finding out is genes turn on and off other genes due to circumstances in your environment.
And not necessarily even interacting with your environment, but just being so when you being a Northwesterner
is actually interacting in your environment.
And our genes are different than those who maybe are in the Southeast.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even realize how much that is, but it is very true.
And that would even include, now that I'm just kind of thinking and probably going way off topic, but heat, holding in heat, letting heat go, because I know it's hot in the South, and so oh wow,
there's just so much that we are beginning to find out.
So then the question comes: is this a good thing? Should we be
messing around,
tweaking?
Well, I don't know.
Designer babies.
Well, we haven't got that far yet, but Britain's fertility regulator has just approved a scientist's request to edit the human genetic code in an effort to fight inherited diseases.
Has approved a scientist's request to edit the genome. Yikes.
Critics fear the new technique crosses too many ethical boundaries. So the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority announced Monday its granted research application to a team led by a scientist, Kathy Nykin, to understand the genes that human embryos tend to need to develop successfully. So this gene editing technique could one day lead to treatments for conditions like HIV, which causes age, and inherited diseases like muscular dystrophy and sickle cell disease.
See, that's where it all starts, though. Is it just me saying that's where it all starts? Oh no, don't worry, we're going to find the cure to the common cold. How great would it be to find the cure to the common cold or the cure to the flu? And then the next thing you know, well, and when I talk about we, it's not the royal we, it's a we of mucky mucks high atop their ivory towers saying, we feel that, I don't know, cleft palate is an undesirable trait, and we're going to turn off that for everybody. And then where does it go from there?
I don't know, but last year, Chinese researchers made the first attempt to modify some genes and did not turn out well. The embryos weren't viable, but it raised the prospect of, altering genes to repair genes of future generations. And this gene editing technique was developed partly in the U.S. Scientists there have experimented with this method in animals and human cells in the laboratory. But, there's some people that are for it, because it seems like it could be a good idea. And then there's people that are against it. It's like when, I suppose, the atomic bomb was first started.
Sure.
Well,
when Oppenheimer was there,
like a good idea.
When Oppenheimer watched what happened.
Yeah.
He was very, I think, upset with himself.
Mm-hmm.
So some people laughed, some people cried. Mostly the room was silent. That was his quote after the first bomb went off.
Yeah. So there's always risk with new inventions.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
I'm Karen Chase. The campaigning is almost over and the caucuses are about to begin in Iowa. Going into the contest, Hillary Clinton holds such a slight lead over Bernie Sanders. It's a statistical dead heat. ABC's Aaron Katersky has the view from Des Moines.
We have come a long way in 8 months.
While Bernie Sanders worked the crowds, volunteers worked the phones and hit the streets with varying degrees of success.
There's a lot of people that aren't home, and there's a lot of people that aren't going to caucus. It scares me that people won't show up to vote.
Sanders is neck and neck with Hillary Clinton, and a large turnout is thought is what he needs. His campaign said the Democratic race is going to be a nail-biter. Aaron Katersky, ABC News, Des Moines.
Donald Trump has a 5-point lead over Republican rival Ted Cruz and says he expects to do well.
People have said that I wasn't going to run, and then they said, well, if I ran, he'd just going to have fun and he'd leave, and now I'm in first place by a lot.
Cruz says he's already done better than he expected as well. One person who'd never vote for Trump is Adele. She's making it clear she didn't give him permission to use her song Rolling in the Deep at his events. A spokesman says she doesn't want it used at any political campaigning. The World Health Organization may hit the panic button over Zika. Its emergency response committee is meeting in Geneva today to decide whether to declare a global crisis to free up emergency funding to fight it. ABC Chief Medical Editor Dr. Richard Besser says Brazil is already taking steps to fight it.
Here in Brazil, they're not waiting for that committee. They're sending public health workers and soldiers door to door, looking to wipe out any place that the mosquito could be breeding.
Her mother says the 13-year-old Virginia girl found dead met the man charged with kidnapping and killing her online on a website. The suspect, a Virginia Tech engineering student, was arraigned on a murder charge. A fellow engineering student, a female, was also arraigned for allegedly helping him dispose of the body in a pond. Authorities in Cologne, Germany say they can't guarantee 100% safety, but they are stepping up security for the city's upcoming carnival. This is ABC News.
Results not typical. Do you owe the IRS more than $10,000 in personal or business taxes and you can't afford to pay? You have the right to tax representation. Join satisfied clients like Victoria. She owed the IRS $32,000. They accepted $300. She saved $31,700. Leroy owed $21,000. The IRS accepted $500 and he saved $20,500. Get tax representation and save too. Call 800-556-7089. Has the IRS threatened to shut down your business, freeze your bank accounts, take your home, your cars, or garnish your wages? You may qualify for special programs to stop this process. Get tax representation. The industry experts with negotiating with the IRS with an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Call today and the IRS will be contacted the same day, putting a stop to bank levies and wage garnishments. Call the tax representation hotline at 800-556-7089. 800-556-7089. That's 800-556-7089.
A new study explored alleged bias among police officers when it comes to pulling guns on suspects. ABC's Ryan Burrow has the results.
The research from University of Washington Spokane was published by the Criminology and Public Policy Journal. 80 white officers seated at computers were more likely to press a shoot button when encountering a black suspect, but when holding guns in a video simulation, the white officers were slower to shoot armed black suspects than armed white suspects, and less likely to shoot unarmed black suspects than unarmed white suspects. The research is part of a wider effort to explore the mindset of police in making life and death decisions. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Miss Piggy rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange to celebrate the season premiere of The Muppets, but it was a brief happy moment since stocks sank immediately after out of concern for falling energy prices. Are you keeping something from your spouse, like a bank account? 13 million Americans have secret accounts, according to Bankrate.com. 19 million have secretly spent more than $500. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. Mason County Commissioners are creating a new departmental leadership position, Community Services Director. In a major reorganization of county management, the person the commissioners hire as Community Services Director would supervise the County Finance, Planning, and Permit Assistance Center. The new director would also oversee the environmental health and the community family health departments. Commissioner Chairwoman Terry Jeffries says the intent is to provide improved customer service within the county's public planning and health service sectors. The reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. The Community Services Director position could be filled by mid-April. Mason County Public Works representatives have scheduled a community meeting to get public comments about a proposed speed limit change on Pickering Road. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire Station on East Pickering Road from 5 to 7 p.m. A recent petition from area residents asked to increase the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour between State Route 3 and East Pine Tree Cove Road. Public Works Engineering and traffic personnel conducted a study of the road segment proposed for the change. For more information, you can contact Public Works at 360-427-9670. About 500 workers will lose their jobs following an announcement that a Bremerton call center is shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix Call Center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City Engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
You know, we've been getting a lot of questions about it. You know, when's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? You know, the contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that, you know, it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
If you're afraid of school shootings, fine. Put him near the outer perimeter of the school. Put him in front of the school. Build a little guardhouse or something. Stick him in it. But a cop to deal with discipline problems? It's turning a school into a prison. It's teaching kids how to be afraid of authority figures. It's teaching them, oh, yes, officer, no, officer. Oh, please don't beat the crap out of her. Oh, wow, look at him beat the crap out of her. This is so wrong.
I'm attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER 1808 on a Monday morning with Jeff and Carol. We'll check sports and weather in a moment. Currently out there, what are we looking like? Foggy days?
Yeah, it's foggy and about 34.
Let's see if we can get a concur. Do you concur?
The official word is a little foggy.
Is it foggy out there?
Yeah.
Dale Hubbard in studio, back from a nice trip over the mountainside. And what do the mountains look like these days?
Mountains were groomed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We're willing, huh?
Yeah. Pretty active skiers up there on Saturday. We came through there on Saturday, and everybody was having a good time. Not a lot of traffic. Roads were great. I was scared. I thought it was going to be all snowy and piece of cake.
Good.
So that was good. That was good news. How did everything go with you guys this week? Good.
Oh yeah, we were fine. Hanging in there, listening to the news. Big story we'll talk about on the website is that health thing. They've taken
reorganization.
Big reorganization. Try reading that story, getting through it all, figuring it out. We posted it on Facebook. People did a pretty good job acclimating and understanding, but it's complicated.
Yeah.
5 departments into one, basically.
When did they get together to do that?
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
It's a great question.
And I know where you can go to find out that information.
Is it on the website, or do you have to go to the meeting?
You can go to the commissioner meeting.
You can. What's the
and
deal?
then tell us all about it.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
Russ Wilson got an MVP yesterday.
That's what I understand. He had a good day.
3 first-half touchdown passes. 49-27 the final.
Punt, pass, and kick competition over in Hawaii.
It was just a mess. I was telling Carol earlier. So it was so bad that Michael Bennett started taking snaps.
That's funny.
He took a snap, did a 7-yard run.
Did he? He didn't throw it?
No.
Oh, that's cool. So
I agree. It's like it's for fun.
Seattle ruled then.
Yeah.
Seattle did rule.
And that's really the important thing.
How about our little Lockett? Did he do anything spectacular? No.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Michael Bennett and Russell Wilson are the stories.
They got the stories. Well, Russell was the #1 pick in the draft.
He was. He's not wearing his heel lifts anymore.
That's right.
He finally got #1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't even know. What's that stadium for? Is that for University of Hawaii?
Probably.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the stands aren't full. For 1 game a year, they can't even fill the stands.
Right.
If
you lived in Hawaii, how often would you sit and watch a football game?
I wouldn't. Be on the beach.
Yeah, pretty much.
What else happened? Kyle Wiltshire, Domantas Sabonis, Silas Melson, he scored 15. They crushed San Francisco Saturday, 86-48.
I enjoyed listening to that.
Gonzaga plays Thursday versus Loyola Marymount. Sunday, the Super Bowl. Coverage starts at 11. Game kicks off around 3:30. Denver, Carolina all day.
Okay.
And then Shelton basketball live from the Mini Dome tomorrow night and Thursday night, because they have moved the schedule from a Wednesday, Friday to a Tuesday, Thursday, in the hopes that the girls will make it tied to the last spot of the playoffs.
And get it a play-in game.
Yeah, so they don't want to do back-to-back.
And then how are the boys? We're not sure.
The boys played Lincoln Friday night. They lost
had a
to
close
Lincoln.
game to a really highly touted.
Boy, that Lincoln team
A's
looks
team.
good.
Yeah, they're good.
Whoa. Kyle Kimball had 10. It was senior night, so it was really cool. They celebrated 5 of the seniors.
Yeah.
And, that's about it in sports here. Carol, what's up with the weather?
Well, it's 34, and it's officially foggy for your morning drive or walk this morning. And today it's going to be mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with some rain. And the rest of the week looks cloudy with chances of rain. And Saturday for the big jump.
Yeah.
Polar bear plunge taking place at the Alderbrook Resort from 11 to 3. It looks about 46 when we start jumping in the water.
And by we mean you.
And you.
Well, we'll see.
Right
Not
now,
me.
34.
Not Dale.
Now,
I've
from the
been doing it for a long
iFIBER 1
time.
News Radio Studios,
So
that's true. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be jumping.
You know, they've changed the format a little. Is music playing?
Yeah, we. So stay here. We'll talk about it just one second.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
We have a universe that's expanding like a balloon. And in every astronomy class, the professor takes out a balloon, gets a felt pen, and puts little spirals on the balloon called galaxies. And there we are sitting in the Milky Way galaxy. And then the astronomy professor begins to blow up the balloon. And sure enough, the distance between the balloons expands. So the universe is expanding.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Tarnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down zone. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Because of the fact there's been a revolution in paleontology with regards to how we view the dinosaurs. When I was a kid, we learned the dinosaurs were cold-blooded, lumbering creatures, kind of dim-witted. They didn't nurture their young, and that's why they went extinct. They were simply too stupid. Well, now we realize that we were pretty much wrong in how we view dinosaurs.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
All right, good morning to you, 8:15 at iFIBER One News Radio, and it's Jeff, Dale, and Carol in this morning. We're talking polar bear plunge coming up this Saturday.
We'll all be out there
at the Alderbrook. It's going to be a good time, and so Dale started the whole thing, right? He was the first guy here at the station to go do it because I skipped the first year. I don't know, maybe I was somewhere, and it was out in beautiful Hoodsport. We had a great time out there for a couple of years. 1 year, there was ice sheets actually on the water.
Yeah.
That was cold. Well, we've since now moved to the Alderbrook, and it's a beautiful spot. This will be our third year there.
Yes, I believe that's right.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and because it's in a little bit of a cove, I guess is a good way to explain it. It's a little warmer.
Is it? Okay. Take your word for that.
That's what I tell myself, at least, that it's a little.
Well, you just jump in and then they pull you out, right?
Well,
or there's a ladder.
You have to get yourself out. And when I was up at the North Mason Chamber Luncheon last week talking to Teresa Eric, who will be jumping again with us this year, I was telling her, because Casey jumps in. We got great pictures on the Facebook from years gone by. And last year, I remember Casey jumped way far out. And the problem with jumping way far out is you got to swim
way back.
All the way back in. So just keep that in mind. You mentioned a change in the format, or?
Yeah, so, we have over the years usually grouped up anywhere from 2 to 5 to 6 people, usually like their friends, or they're all from one fire district, or, they'd all group up and they'd go, and we'd have maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 groups throughout the couple of hours that we're out there, and we'd announce them and all that. So this year we're going to do 2 waves of jumpers. Half of everybody in one big splashdown, and then you'd be fighting for ladder space. I'm thinking. I don't know if they've thought this through, because there's only so many ways to get out of the water, and if you've got 20 people in the water at the same time,
sure,
Maybe we're all going to walk from the shore in and then walk
You might
out.
run in. I'm not sure.
I mean, if you do a big wave like that, that would be more.
That's how
better way.
That's a lot of polar bear plunges do that.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the hardest.
Because
I get up to my knees and I'm thinking about all the rest of my anatomy that's going to be in there in a minute, and I'm going like, ah.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So
So
when you
anyways,
jump
two
out-
waves, two groups. We're going to split it in half, and there'll be one group, and then the next group. Maybe they are running in. I'm not sure. It's got
Yeah.
a good beach for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a nice little taper down into the
Because
water.
could you imagine being the last person to get on up the ladder?
Oh.
If you're like 20 people jumping in?
We'll ask you about how it was to be the last person.
Thanks, Jeff.
I think we'd see an aggressive nature of Carol if she was. Excuse me, but I'm getting out now.
Out of my way. That's a fun way to do it. And I think there's always, so we got the PA out there. You're going to be spinning the tunes, and there's like clam chowder and food and tons
it'll
of
be fun.
emergency services there. God forbid anything happens, you need somebody, but they got blankets.
Yeah.
And it's a fun event.
Oh, yeah, it really is. It's been a good turnout. Come on out and just watch if you'd like and enjoy the day out there. There are some vendors out there and all that, so it'll be a lot of fun out at Alderbrook Resort.
Mm-hmm.
Then the North Mason Chamber of Commerce Gala, or is it Gala? I never know.
I say
Gala most of the time.
yeah.
Is that evening.
Yeah.
It starts about 4 or 5
Sold
o'clock.
out now. I got the
there.
email
Yeah.
from Stephanie, and it's all sold.
So I'm just staying. I'm coming in the morning, and I'm not leaving till the next day.
At the resort.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
Hopefully you're going to change.
Yeah, in fact, I have to wait. I can't check in until the afternoon. So,
All right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Tuxedo?
Yeah. No.
No tuxedo?
No
Have
tuxedo.
you ever worn a tuxedo?
Yes.
For.
My daughter's wedding.
Ah.
Not for my own wedding, though. And for a couple of proms and stuff.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was it.
The leisure suit.
Yeah.
It was prom out. We were celebrating with Stephanie, my wife Stephanie, over this weekend. We went out to dinner, and kids were having dances.
Yeah.
So we went and walked the mall. We did a mall walk, whatever. And there was a couple groups of kids. They were all dressed up in their prom gowns and their tuxedos and stuff.
Nice.
Those dresses sure look different than even from when I was in school.
Okay, so I'm in the tuxedo place over in Moses Lake this week. Because it's that time of the year.
Yeah.
And they have camo vests and ties now. And just the girl that was running the tuxedo shop, she goes, "This makes my stomach want to jump." She goes, "Ugh." But it's really popular.
Oh, I bet.
Very popular.
Especially for I would imagine these dances as it's hunting season.
Yeah.
We just had a story on the website about black bear season up, and so you can vie for a
So you
permit.
can get a camo vest and a camo tie to go with your tux.
So would you get... I mean, could you choose from the different styles of camo, like Arctic winter?
They didn't have a lot of different
It was
choices.
just the traditional?
Yeah. Kind of a light brown look.
I mean, if
to the chagrin of the female species, I'm saying.
But usually that's what is coordinated.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the girls.
I
are
didn't see any
wearing
camo dresses, no formal gowns that were in camo.
I'm not saying that those
Yet.
don't make those. Yeah.
Oh, they do make them, I'm sure.
They must.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
must.
if your guy is going to wear camo, you're going to be wearing something.
Absolutely.
Probably similar. Or you're
Absolutely.
saying no camo.
Or you're saying I'll just go.
You know, I saw an interesting post too this weekend of an officer in the Army. She wants to wear her uniform at her wedding.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, men have been wearing their dress blues or whatever for generations when they get married. She says, why shouldn't I? And her husband and a bunch of people were liking that,
I don't
Her
think I've
soon-to-be-
ever heard
her
about
soon-
that.
I think it's a great idea.
Isn't that a great?
Yeah.
And she was well
Excellent
decorated. She
idea.
had a picture of herself in her. And she, yeah,
I've never
absolutely.
even thought about that before. Never even heard about that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good thought for her.
8:22 here at iFIBER 1. We're going to have morning stock numbers in just a few moments. The Iowa caucuses are tonight. Do you have a 1, 2, 3?
Does it matter what the party is, or how does that work?
Well, I mean, it's either Bernie or Hillary, so whatever that means. But Trump, Cruz, Trump.
I think
Rubio 3.
Trump noses Cruz, but not comfortably.
Wow.
Not comfortably.
He's been laying into him. The latest one, I don't know if you saw the latest flyer that went out from the Cruz campaign. It was kind of a public shaming for voting. Because, your voting record is out there.
Yeah.
but they send out these notes with your name. It says Dale Hubbard, F, 55%, meaning you have got a paltry voting record.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, here are 7 of your neighbors with their names and their supposed voting record, too. And it says your neighbors, friends and neighbors, are going to know if you voted or not. And it's kind of shaming the people. And it looks really legit. It looks like an official government document.
But this is the elected officials that vote on bills is what they're talking about, right?
This is the Ted Cruz campaign has sent this out to the voters of Iowa saying your voting record is public and you have a 55% voting profile.
To the constituent?
As to whether you vote or not, or as to who you vote for?
Whether or not you vote.
I didn't think that was public.
Well, it is.
I didn't either.
Is it?
Wow.
At least in Iowa, it is. So the president got not the president, but MoveOn.org in 2012 got busted for this as well, for Obama. But it really looks like a legit government piece of paper saying you are, not voting as much as you should. And so the other weird thing is that a guy that got this, it gave him a vote total of 55%. Yet he has voted in the last 3 elections and the last 2 primaries. So he is not at 55%. And that's kind of what people are crying foul about, is this.
So some make-believe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of scare people to get
shame
the
people
into
voting. That's not good.
Everybody should vote.
Everybody should vote.
Though I know a lot of people have a hard time with these special elections because they're mainly, there's school and levies usually for the fire station.
What's that say? An individual's voting history is public record.
Yeah,
I
but
had no idea.
It's all right.
I voted for the Hood Canal School District levy yesterday.
Good.
That was all that was on my ballot.
Did you have more than one on your ballot?
No, I think I had 2 of the same school district and then a fire district on my ballot.
Yeah, pretty short little. February 9th or something is the election.
These are the important ones. Every election is important, obviously, but these ones are very important.
Well, it's your local, you're smaller. You start small and it goes bigger.
I said to Jerry, should we vote yes or no? And she goes, well, be a little hypocritical to be all about graduation matters and then not vote for a levy in the school. I says, you got a good point there.
That's a big problem in Thurston County. A lot of communities that have large retirement bases, they have a hard time convincing folks to vote for these things.
You bet.
Well, if you went through, but then you should support what you were supported. That's how I look at it.
Well, the way I look at it is these are the kids that are going to be like
taking care of me
if I'm in a home, because
if she's going to read me the funnies, I want to know how to read.
If Kaiser's going to be like me, I'm not taking care of anybody. Kaiser's not taking care of anybody. So if some kid who hasn't had an education for the last 10 years.
You always hope your kid is better than
Here you go,
than
Mr. Slakey.
Or is it Slacky?
I can't.
Exactly.
Whatever.
But get out and vote, people.
8:25 at iFiber One. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, morning stock numbers from Marilyn Foster. Actually, Karen Shade will have the morning stock numbers. Marilyn Foster will have the latest from local news just after that. It's all coming up next here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
If you're looking for a new venue to watch your favorite sports, come check out the El Serape Cantina. Take in the classy Day of the Dead ambiance and enjoy your favorite sports on the large projector screen or 4K Ultra HD TVs. Warm up by the fire or shoot some pool on the beautifully crafted pool tables. Join the Cantina for Dollar Taco Tuesdays and bring out your inner rock star on Karaoke Wednesdays. With so much to offer, the Cantina is the place to be. Located on Railroad in downtown Shelton, right next to the El Serape restaurant.
iFiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFiber One, 8:27 on a Monday morning. And we are saying good morning to Karen Shade from Edward Jones. Hello.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed. How was your weekend?
It was good. I had to think on that one. Well, yeah, better. Yeah, I'm feeling better, so there we go. Thanks. So,
good.
Yes. How was yours?
It was fine. And
did you watch the Pro Bowl?
I watched about 10 minutes of it.
Okay, I didn't even watch it.
And, the first couple tackles were non-tackles, like touch football. So I said, if this is the rest of it, then I'm done.
And I didn't even bother watching it, to tell you honest truth.
Well, and so Russell gets MVP.
Oh, he did?
And then Michael Bennett gets defensive MVP. And here's how the game plays out. Later as the game progresses, Michael Bennett ends up joining the offense and taking some snaps as quarterback. So it's not even like a real thing. I mean, I get that it's an exhibition. It's supposed to be for fun, but...
But, I think it should go back to AFC, NFC. That was the whole thing of this. So that, I don't know. I think it's lost it's more like a fantasy football game.
Yeah.
And it's mamby-pamby football.
Yeah,
Oops, sorry.
It really is. Well, because they don't want to they don't want to hurt each other.
Right.
Especially if, Bennett is coming in to tackle Russell. He's not going to do that.
No.
Sack him or whatever. What?
No. Yeah. I agree. I don't even know why they do it. Except they get lots of fun little gizmo.
Lots of money to go to Hawaii. What's going on with Wall Street?
Well, U.S. stocks are trading lower as oil prices resume their downward trend. In economic news, U.S. manufacturing activity appeared to stabilize in January, but a recovery is unlikely in near terms as factories contend with a strong dollar and as declining oil prices force energy firms to cut spending. Other data showed consumer spending was flat in December as households reduced their purchases of automobiles and as an unseasonably mild weather hurt heating demand. U.S. bond prices are trending lower. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is utilities, while the worst performing sector is energy. Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 74 points at 16,392. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is down 10 points at 1,930, and the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 10 points at 4,603. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, about 261 million shares being traded, and decliners are outnumbering advancers by a roughly 5-2 margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $8.21 to $1,126.39. The spot price of silver is up 7 cents to $14.33, and crude oil prices are down $1.62 to $32. In the bond market, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.77%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.95%. Stocks of local interest, Amazon is down $11.08. Costco is up 79 cents. Boeing is up 5 cents. Starbucks is up 57 cents. And Microsoft is down 18 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton. And if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, thank you much. 8:30 here, time for the latest in local news, brought to you this time by Fred Holmes Tree Service.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. Mason County Commissioners are creating a new departmental leadership position, Community Services Director. In a major reorganization of county management, the person the commissioners hire as Community Services Director would supervise the County Finance, Planning, and Permit Assistance Center. The new director would also oversee the environmental health and the community family health departments. Commissioner Chairwoman Terry Jeffries says the intent is to provide improved customer service within the county's public planning and health service sectors. The reorganization essentially consolidates and renames the County Department of Community Development and Public Health Department. The Community Services Director position could be filled by mid-April. Mason County Public Works representatives have scheduled a community meeting to get public comments about a proposed speed limit change on Pickering Road. The meeting starts at 6 p.m. on Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire Station on East Pickering Road from 5 to 7 p.m. A recent petition from area residents asked to increase the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 45 miles per hour between State Route 3 and East Pine Tree Cove Road. Public Works Engineering and traffic personnel conducted a study of the road segment proposed for the change. For more information, you can contact Public Works at 360-427-9670. About 500 workers will lose their jobs following an announcement that a Bremerton call center is shutting down its operations. Employees of Concentrix Call Center were notified of the changes last week. The Bremerton Call Center has been one of Kitsap County's largest private employers since its opening in 2001. Shelton City engineer Mike Michaels stopped by Daybreak for the Focus on Shelton segment and gave an update on how the Lake Boulevard project is coming along.
You know, we've been getting a lot of questions about it. You know, when's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? You know, the contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very optimistic that, you know, it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job.
Mike said the weather this winter has been conducive for the early stages of the road work. Dry weather will be needed to put the second layer of asphalt on. Lake Boulevard remains closed from the city limits through the project area until it's completed. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Snow melts. Rain falls. Rivers form. This happens all over the world. But when it happens here, something wonderful unfolds. A renewable source of energy, created without releasing even an ounce of CO2 into the Earth's atmosphere.
Mason PUD 3. Clean, renewable, and reliable energy every day. The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Eventually, something is going to break through all the lies and all the hundreds of millions of dollars that Koch Industries and ExxonMobil and others have spent funding climate change deniers. Eventually, it's going to break through, and people are going to realize that for the last 40 years, they have been lied to by very wealthy people who are lying to us and allowing people to die just so they can protect their wealth. Not even protect their existing wealth, just so they can make more wealth.
It was All-Star Sunday for the NFL and NHL. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. But the NBA stars were in the Big Apple, putting a golden shine on the Knicks.
Curry, pass to Klay Thompson, catch and release and splash. Thompson with three.
On KNBR, Klay Thompson finished with 34 points in the Warriors' 116-95 rout of the Knicks in New York. Draymond Green a triple-double. In Dallas, the Mavericks beat the Suns 91-78. Yahoo Sports reporting that after the game, general manager Ryan McDonough fired head coach Jeff Hornacek. The Suns have lost 10 of their last 11. They're 14-35 this season. The interim coach expected to be one of two assistants, either Corey Gaines or Earl Watson. In the Pro Bowl, as predicted, it was a toss-and-catch touchdown fest in Honolulu.
Russell Wilson throwing back left corner of the end zone. Jumping up forward is Julio Jones. Gets both feet down and a touchdown.
On Westwood 1, Russell Wilson threw 3 touchdowns as Team Urban rolled to a 49-27 victory over Team Rice. ESPN reporting that Lions receiver Calvin Johnson retiring at age 30 after 9 years in Detroit.
The Lions are hopeful that he'll change his mind. But again, he delivered that message to Jim Caldwell the day after the season that he's done with the NFL right now.
Schefter says too many injuries forced Megatron to pack it in. On ice, he's journeyman bruiser, 6'8", not much of a scorer, who went from NHL team to the minor leagues to all-star most valuable player. There's a movie script in there somewhere.
And John Scott will get a standing ovation.
On NBC Sports, John Scott scored twice for Team Pacific. His name wasn't even on the MVP balloting, so the fans came through and voted him in with a Twitter vote. John Scott, MVP.
Doesn't get old hearing it, that's for sure. It still hasn't sunk in that I'm like the MVP of the game. It was definitely a whirlwind. Yeah, I'm enjoying every minute of it, though.
Team Pacific won the 4-team 3-on-3 tournament. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman signed a new contract that runs through 2022. To college basketball, all the top 25 teams were winners, including Iowa, Villanova, Maryland, and Michigan State. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Well, good morning to you. It's a Monday. It's the first day of February. It's Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
I got sports in just a moment. But first, Carol, what's going on with the weather outside us right now?
35 and overcast.
The unbeaten in conference Lincoln Abes came to town looking to knock off the Shelton High Climbers Friday night, senior night at the Mini Dome. And 5 of the High Climbers were playing in their last home games back and forth. First half, Lincoln leading 26-21. Both teams struggled offensively in the second half, leading to fast break opportunities. The Abes held on in the fourth quarter, taking down Shelton with the final score 46-37. Kyle Kimball led all scorers for Shelton with 10. Be sure to check out the website later today as Sports Director Sean Wells will have video highlights from the contest. This past Saturday, we had a Gonzaga basketball game for you. Kyle Wilcher, DeMontis Sabonis, and Silas Melson each scored 15 to help Gonzaga dominate both halves and beat the Dons of San Francisco 86-48. Gonzaga plays Thursday versus Loyola Marymount at 6:40. Saturday, we'll have another Gonzaga game for you versus Pepperdine at 8:40, and that will come just after another and the latest GOP debate, which is on Saturday from 5 until 8. Sunday is the Super Bowl. Denver and Carolina. Coverage starts at 11 a.m. and the game kicks off right around 3:30. Tomorrow on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. Shelton basketball live from the Mini Dome. Tip-off at 7. The other game online is Thursday, also at 7. This is a change and a change in the schedule for the Shelton girls basketball teams. So both the Tuesday, so normally it's a Wednesday, Friday kind of thing. They've been moved to Tuesday, Thursday, and this change become necessary because of the possibility of Shelton ending the regular season tied for the final Narrows League berth to head on to the postseason. So that's very exciting, and they didn't want to do a back-to-back game thing if they have to play on Saturday. So that's the updated change. We'll have both of the games for you on iFIBER1newsradio.com, 7 o'clock, and you can find the links Tuesday and Thursday evening. 8:39 now. Here's Carol with the forecast.
Good morning. It's 35, and it's overcast today, and it's going to be mostly cloudy throughout the rest of the day. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with some sun. The rest of the week looks cloudy with some chances of rain, and as we've been talking about, the big jump on Saturday, it's going to be about 46 when we start jumping, about 11 a.m. And right now it's 34.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:40 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. We're checking out stories from the weekend on iFIBER1newsradio.com. And before we get into the latest in local stories, Carol, last week we had a great conversation with Mike Wittenberg, CPA. You can watch the interview under our accounting and tax news page. And below the video is a lot of the topics that he covered during our conversation. I got notes from people thanking us for having Wittenberg on. It was a great conversation, and we learned a lot. They learned a lot. And then to find more information on the website, it is tax time.
It is.
And people are getting their different pieces of information needed to do that. And there were some changes.
A lot of changes.
And a lot of things became permanent that once were sunsetting. So important to find out all those. And if you think, I can do this. It starts to get a little complicated. Mike Wittenberg, CPA, wittenbergcpa.com. Very easy to talk to and puts out that information in very understandable bits.
Right, because it's so complicated. I mean, it can be so complicated just trying to read through all the rules. And it's like, okay, what exactly affects me?
Yeah.
is what you want, you know?
Yeah, what's impacting me today?
Right.
He's got all that information, and his staff at Wittenberg CPA is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to those things. So under the news tab as well, local news, we were mentioning it with Dale earlier this hour, but the commissioners are restructuring 5 departments to now answer under one new head. That head has yet to be hired.
Right.
And they're still looking to fill that position, Community Services Director. Check that story out on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. Thank you to folks who checked it out, followed, commented on it on our Facebook page as well. Lynn Longan from the Mason County EDC is coming up next.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Peninsula Credit Union presents PHIL. PHIL stands for Peninsula Home Improvement Loan. Designed to help you get things done around the house, PHIL can help you a little or a lot. This is not a second mortgage. With a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, you can get 7.24% APR on a 60-month loan or 7.49% APR for 120 months. From replacing the roof to new flooring and everything home-related in between, take advantage of a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, and PHIL will help you get the job done. Call Peninsula Credit Union today. 800-426-1601. That's 800-426-1601. Or apply online at pcfcu.org. OAC. See representatives for details. Limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Annual percentage rate is effective as of June 11th, 2014. Loan amounts from $500 to $15,000. Terms available from 60 months up to 120 months. For payment examples, call 800-426-1601.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:45 at iFIBER One News Radio, and it's time for us to learn a little bit about what the Economic Development Council has been up to. And back from Leadership Council in Nolens, it's Chair Lynn Longan. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
We had Jennifer in last week. Did a great job. Had a great conversation with her about things that are happening with the EDC. And let's talk about your holiday. I guess it wasn't a working holiday.
Working business trip.
It's a business trip.
Sunday, 14-and-a-half-hour day on Sunday. So, yeah, let's be clear. Definitely not a holiday.
You were flying back from the south.
Yes.
Did they offer any peanuts or pretzels on the flight?
We heard they are giving more stuff now.
I do Alaska Airlines. I love Alaska Airlines.
And so they offer up the bennies.
They do. Well, they do the little thing, and you can buy it. They have great food on it. They actually are a great Pacific Northwest company. Speaking of, I'm off topic, but it is good for the economy. They're a great Pacific Northwest. They buy all of their food and their beverages from locals. So like the vodka, it's from Seattle.
It's from Seattle.
Nice.
Oh, it is it?
It is.
Wow, I didn't realize that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for them.
And anyway.
That spurs a great little economic development.
It really does. It really does.
And helps people who've never heard of the brands fly in different parts of the country.
Yes. They're good, great airlines.
All right. So let's talk about this leadership conversation or this leadership workshop.
It was really good. I think every now and then you have to expand. You have to get out of Mason County and you have to find out what's going on in the country. And this was a really good opportunity. It was the Leadership Summit, so it's only the top level executives of economic development agencies that are there, and it's a great opportunity to find out what other people are doing. So a couple of big takeaways that I had that are happening in the country that are trending are reshoring. So I did bring some numbers. I do have to read from them, but I did bring some numbers. They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge. And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we How do we benefit from that if that's what's happening? And then I took 2 different courses, or I guess they weren't courses, they were workshops, they were roundtables where we talked about and shared ideas on how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas. Going to go back and talk to my council, my board, and, find out what direction they actually want us to go in, but sharing that information with them to see if they want to maybe ramp up our efforts in certain areas.
Why do you think the reshoring has come back to the forefront again? There's a lot of public pressure on a lot of companies to outsource things.
So that is one. There is a lot of public pressure, especially with the millennials. Millennials are much more into buying local and local made. And they'll spend a little more if it's made in the U.S. So that's one reason. And then the other is, with all of the ARA funds and all that, you know what I'm talking about, with the government gave, funds, they're all about made in the U.S. So the only way they could go to anything was if it was made in the U.S. So we think that's starting to really make a difference, that companies. And then there's quality control. So I actually worked with a company when I was at the Department of Commerce just before I came here. They wanted to reshore, and theirs was quality control. The big slowdowns and stoppage at the Port of Seattle, for example, they couldn't get their product back to sell it. They couldn't, meet their market's needs. So that was one. And then there's safety. So some companies, they're manufacturing down in Mexico and they're not feeling like their families, their employees are safe down there.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So there's several reasons, but it's an interesting trend. We're really seeing a difference now.
So did you feel that you were similar to other representatives from other rural counties, or was it a mix of like counties with big cities in them?
Right.
And
it was interesting talking to people that were rural county economic development directors, the EDOs, they call them, in other places. A lot of our issues really are the same, regardless of where we are in the country. So obviously some of the border ones have different issues, of Yuma. There was someone there, an economic development director from the city of Yuma, and it was interesting talking to her. And some of her issues are the manufacturing, that some of the manufacturers down across the border in Mexico, they're getting their employees, their workforce from Yuma, and vice versa. There's employees coming up. So they're really paying attention to all this border control issue and what's going on with the presidential election.
I bet.
And that, we don't, not as much. That's not as big of a issue for us here in Mason County as it is on a border. So that was interesting, but it was really interesting talking to them, and rural is rural.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's interesting to find out that we're not. We all want to think that we're really unique. We're not all that unique, but that's good. That's good. I mean, there's times when you want to be unique and other times when, you want to be able to learn from others.
We've used tourism here as a big jumping off point out of the county. We got the Olympics and things like that. Was there anything that you gathered from someone over the meeting about a different either way to present tourism as a destination or another kind of niche market like that maybe we could look into?
Tourism's an interesting one. And how do I say this? So economic developers, they're not really paying a lot of attention to tourism.
Okay.
They're saying, yes, tourism creates jobs. They're not usually your higher wage jobs. They're not, and they're not going to actually grow your economy the way that you want it to.
Okay.
Is it a great subsidiary? Absolutely. And we are very unique in that way. We're the head of the the beginning or the gateway to the Puget Sound and all of that, and the Hood Canal, and we've got the Olympics, and it's something that we definitely need to pay attention and we need to maximize on. But we also need to get manufacturing jobs. We need to get high-tech jobs. We need to really get those other jobs in here so that we have this nice, diverse basket.
So like instead of, and I'm just kind of imagining maybe using the Olympic Mountains because they are always there. They've always been there as a crutch to be part of our economic outlook.
I think it's important that we recognize that tourism's a huge industry in our county and should be bigger. That's important. I don't want to minimize that in any way. But I also, going to economic development conference, it's not as big of an issue, or at least the economic developers are not looking at it as.
Right, but you can lure the new businesses and with all the great stuff they can do around here.
Maybe. I've heard that.
Okay.
I've heard that. But honestly, the economic developers aren't saying that, and the site selectors aren't saying that.
Well, and people on a day-to-day basis, I mean, we are at the foot of the Olympics, and how often do we go?
Right. Well, that's anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's anywhere.
True, I guess. Very interesting. So good information. And moving forward, what do we got coming up with the EDC?
Well,
is there a luncheon? No, is that last?
We do. We have our annual luncheon on February, I believe it's the 19th.
Okay.
Yes.
It's at Alderbrook Resort. It should be a good one. Limited seating, of course. So RSVP to the EDC.
Okay, very nice. And ChooseMason.com is the website for the Mason County Economic Development Council Weekly. We talk with Chair Lynn Longan. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
8:54 now. We'll take a quick break and wrap things up on a Monday here on Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out and Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Tarnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network. If you believe that good things come in small packages, this is your month. Our February preview today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Monday, February 1st, the 32nd day of the year. Lisa Marie Presley celebrates a birthday, and Frank Sinatra was recording his first session with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra on this day in 1940. By the way, he got the job. Our shortest month is not quite so short this year. It's a year divisible by 4, so one more day gets tacked onto February this year. Groundhogs, presidents, and romance all take the spotlight. But don't forget the other worthy observances. It's Black History Month, Wild Bird Feeding Month, and Potato Lovers Month. The flower of February is the violet, and if you were born in February, your birthstone is the amethyst. Wearing one is said to give you courage and prevent insomnia. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. You can always learn more about February online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. Director of the Economic Development. I always say chair. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
That's my mistake.
Yes.
And I'm taking it.
You're taking full responsibility.
Take full responsibility because you, one, Karin, 2, and Lynn, 3, Jennifer, 4, have told me on repeated occasions she is the director, not a chairperson.
Right.
Director of the EDC. ChooseMason.com. 8:58 here at iFIBER One News Radio, Daybreak on a Monday morning, first day of February, and looking ahead to some great guests throughout the week. This week, tomorrow, 35th District Representative Dan Griffey will stop by, and we'll get his comments on the latest story with involvement in him on the elder law and the visitation information that he's been on the air last couple of weeks talking about, the Casey Kasem story, and now added to that is
the Peter Falk
story, where personal disagreements have kept family members from visiting at end of lifetime.
Right. That is such a touchy and emotional subject for sure. Very difficult.
Sure. So that's tomorrow. We'll talk with Dan Griffey about that. Carrie Lemon, United Way, the dessert auction is forthcoming. And that's going to be a great event and lots of delicious desserts to be auctioned off there by DJ Dale.
Speaking of delicious, Jeff is going to be bringing in some.
I'm not bringing in anything because it's not going to get here in time. But I will talk about.
I'm like leaving my lunch home this week because you're supposed to be bringing in some Super Bowl.
I got a text from my mom.
Foods.
From my mom about a recipe, and when I first heard this, I freaked out. It sounds so good. Let me talk to you about how about a maple bacon pecan brittle.
Maple bacon pecan brittle. Wow, that is breakfast,
lunch, and dinner,
and dessert,
and dessert all wrapped into one. So we'll have that recipe for you tomorrow as we get ready for the Super Bowl. So you want me to make some?
Oh, why not?
Maple bacon pecan brittle.
Wow.
Sounds delicious as we get ready for the Super Bowl. It's going to kick off Sunday at 11 with our pre-game show. And then 3:30 roughly is where the actual kickoff will be from beautiful Santa Clara, California.
We're going to weigh Jeff Sunday morning and we'll weigh him Sunday night.
Less water displacement after the plunge, unless I eat a lot.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call. Weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
ABC News, I'm Joan Bennett. Thousands of Iowans have plans after work today. The Iowa caucuses